Today we're going to be starting the world's first ever FIFA Mega Career, and here's how it's going to work. From now until the release date of EA Sports FC, I'll be playing a season in every FIFA game from FIFA 14 all the way to FIFA 23. We'll be switching clubs, but we'll be playing as the same manager and the whole career mode will be linked, and every single episode we're going to try and break at least one league record. This should be a really fun way of playing FIFA, because we'll try and recreate some massive transfers that happen in real life, we'll have the AI teams and squads changing just like they did in real life as well, and it should be a really good way of celebrating the end of the FIFA series. Our journey is actually going to start right now in FIFA 14. As a new up-and-coming manager with no experience at all, we're going to start by taking over French side AS Monaco. Why Monaco? Well, just have a look at this team. We'll be managing them for a single season, and make sure you subscribe and comment where I should be managing next year on FIFA 15. Of course, this season though, our biggest rival is going to be PSG. We have the best player in the league still though, 90 rated Radamel Falcao, and he's going to be battling Zlatan to be the top scorer this season. You might have already realised this, but the record we're going for in this episode is going to be trying to beat the most goals scored in one season by one player. Josip Skoblar scored 44 back in 1971, so Falcao will need to score at least 45 goals in this 38-game season for us to succeed in this challenge. We're going to need signings if we're going to try and beat this record though. While we do have a 17-year-old Anthony Martial, he's not quite ready to play on our left wing just yet. Let's go with this young Bernardo Silva guy from Benfica. He sounds like he could become a really good player in the next few seasons. With James, Falcao and Bernardo being backed up by Kondogbia, Moutinho and Toulalan, let's start our season.
Today it's Monaco against Montpellier. The floodlights beaming down from the night sky. So let's go straight to the ground. Your commentary team is Martin Tyler and Alan Smith.
As expected, Monaco gets some early wins and Falcao gets some early goals. We didn't have to wait long for our PSG game either. Before the transfer window even closes, we had a season-defining game. I have to say it was actually really interesting looking back at some of these squads from 2013. Who would have ever remembered that Luca Digne was a left-back for PSG, or Patrick Bamford was enough of a prospect for PSG to sign him in this save? Someone I used to use all the time in Ultimate Team back on FIFA 14, Ezequiel Lavezzi had the first chance, and then it was James Rodriguez bursting forwards for us. He doesn't have a lot of pace, but we did try and pull it across, and unfortunately Bernardo Silva couldn't quite squeeze that one in. Remember Yohan Cabaye? Well, he got the assist on the first goal in this game. Lucas just about getting the rebound off our goalkeeper to fall underneath the crossbar. Here's something else you might remember. Old school free kicks on FIFA 14. You could just stick them in almost every single time, and we did exactly that with João Moutinho, and then finished off with the Jimmy Bullard celebration. That is a proper classic FIFA moment right there. PSG would keep attacking again. Ezequiel Lavezzi off the post, and we just about get a rebound. Ibrahimovic trying a spectacular overhead kick. Didn't come off on this occasion. However, it looked like Ibrahimovic did remember how FIFA 14 is played. He got on the end of this cross. How many times did we see those back in the past? We tried to do the same with Berbatov, but Sirigu was just able to keep that one out of the PSG net. Cabaye would get the ball out wide again, and again Ibrahimovic would be there. A standing header would put him ahead in the top scoring charts early in the season. So if we are trying to get the top scorer as well as winning the title, our title bid just took a pretty big dent with this loss against PSG. Even though we were probably only going to be playing the single season with Monaco, we decided to send out some youth scouts just to see how it worked on FIFA 14. Turns out, it's pretty much the exact same as it is on FIFA 23. It also turns out that I am just as unlucky on FIFA 14 with youth players as I am on FIFA 23. This meant that we didn't get a single player who was rated over 55 overall in the entire 9 months of youth scouting I did on FIFA 14. I don't know if it was just really hard to do back then, or if I was just really bad at it. But I wasn't bad at actually playing the games at this point. To start off with, it was actually quite tough playing FIFA 14 again, but we went on this amazing streak of getting good goals with Falcao, winning games, and moving back up the table. At one point, we were at risk of getting fired, and now it was looking almost certain that we would be the champions come the end of the season. The January transfer window came and went. We didn't even need to sign anyone. I was really tempted to replicate their signing of Lassana Traore. Anyone who played Football Manager or FIFA around this time will remember this Ivory Coast striker, 6'8", but we didn't really play in that way, so we just kept Falcao and Berbatov. Annoyingly for Monaco though, Falcao's form did slowly start to fall off. I don't know if it was to do with tiredness or if it was some kind of league table rubber banding, but it seemed like every shot we did with Falcao would just narrowly miss, even ones that seemed certain, like that volley right there. We probably just needed one goal to get him going again and reignite the flame, so when we got a penalty, Falcao stepped up and blasted it wide again. He's now 5 goals behind in the top scorer charts, but what he started doing is providing a ton of assists. What a goal that was from Kondogbia, who's turned out to be our lowest rated midfielder, but actually one of our best. What a tackle that was there from Anthony Martial, the ball falling to Jeremy Toulon, and that would be an open net, and we would go on to win that game 1-0. This would be the first win in a series of 5 games where we would win all 5, and we would go to be top of League 1. If you want to know why we all of a sudden won 5 games, it's because Falcao got back on the horse. Look at that finish right there, the scoop turn. And with just 1 match of the season left, he is just 2 goals behind the record to be the all-time record holder. Of course, you can probably guess who the last match is going to be against because we haven't already shown it. That's right, it was against PSG. So this was a final match of the season. It was first against second place. I'll show you the league table in a minute because I realise I haven't shown it for a large part of this video, but let's be safe to say that we have already won this title a long time ago. PSG carried on playing like they did in our first game, a lot of crosses into Ibrahimovic, and because this is FIFA 14, there was always a big chance of that working. Thiago Motta even going out wide there, getting another cross into Cavani, this one just missing the post, so the crosses were really working for PSG, but we knew the other overpowered tactic, chip through balls. Falcao got on the end of it, and that was his first of the game. 1 more goal to equal the record, 2 more to beat it. And just look at this finish. He calmly slotted it underneath the arm of Salvatore Sirigu and put us 1-0 up. He had another chance. This could have been the record-breaking goal, but his ball roll and then his shot were both blocked. We recycled the ball though. Falcao got on the end of another chip through ball. And again, a really good save and a really good block there from PSG. And we really should be level with the record at this point. We had yet another chance, but Falcao's first touch wasn't quite good enough, and that brought us to half time. So just half a match now left on FIFA 14 before we move to FIFA 15. Good 1-2 there between Riviere and Falcao. Falcao's going to cut inside, he's going to fire at far post, and it's hit the goalkeeper and gone in. So now he has officially leveled the record. He's got 35 minutes to try and break it in the final game of this season. And on a more personal note, I am actually very happy this is the last game on FIFA 14. There's just a lot of things about this game that don't really work that well, and I'm speaking as a YouTuber, so I know all about not working. I'll share some clips of the worst parts of playing FIFA 14 on my Twitter account, so make sure you go follow that. Falcao should have been following his earlier goal with yet another one right there. He would get another good chance right here. Decent on the ball, Falcao. He's one of the only players that sort of felt quite agile. His header, pretty weak though, tame effort. Duche is going to save that pretty much all game. So now we're down to just 10 minutes to go. We would get the ball upfield. Carrasco would pass it across to Falcao, really well saved there. James would recycle the ball back to Falcao, blocked by Alex. The ball would be recycled to Falcao again, saved, and then finally, Toulon would head the ball in. And that's the 90th minute as well. So we're not actually going to end up breaking the record, we're simply just going to be matching it. Honestly, I set the record as trying to be a bit ambitious there, and I'm actually quite impressed that I did manage to match it, but why don't you download FIFA 14 if you already own it, because it is really expensive to buy if you don't, and why don't you see if you can beat this record of 44 goals. If you've got FIFA 23, try it on there. I'm sure it's a bit easier with Mbappe than it is with Radamel Falcao. But anyway, I posted a poll asking which club we should be managing in FIFA 15. Barcelona was the clear winner, and that's great news because that's exactly the team I wanted to be playing with. We will be leaving AS Monaco as French champions on FIFA 14 and moving to Catalonia. So why would I be excited to play as Barcelona on this game? Well, have a look at the team. It's got all of their really famous players from the Pep era. Messi, Neymar, Suarez, Xavi and Iniesta are all some of my favourite players of all time. Well, we won't actually be able to use Suarez until October in the save because he did actually have a bite of Chiellini at the World Cup. We'll need to strengthen our defence, for Marlon and Adriano probably aren't good enough for what we want to be doing in this save, and we also need to start thinking of a striker so we don't have to play Pedro while Suarez is out. Speaking of goals, our goal for this season will be to try and win the Champions League. Barcelona did beat Juventus in the 2015 final, so let's at least try and match that history. We'll also be trying to break a record. Breaking the top scorer record like we did in France will be almost impossible in La Liga. Messi hit 50 goals back in 2012. Instead, we're going to be going for the most league hat-tricks scored in one season. This is a tied record. Messi and Ronaldo both have scored 8 in the past. Of course, we'll be trying to break this with Lionel Messi. Okay, before we start our season, let's make this mega striker transfer. We have a ton of budget, so let's break history by signing Sergio Aguero. During the negotiations, I saw something that I haven't actually seen on a modern FIFA for a long time. We got into a bidding war with Real Madrid, and I thought that was a super cool thing to happen. It might be 6 years sooner than it happened in real life, but we really need a striker, and I really like Sergio Aguero. I even played the entire preseason just so I could get a grip on how the game plays.
Hello everybody, I'm Martin Tyler. Alongside me, the familiar voice of Alan Smith. Sergio Aguero, his debut for the club in terms of the first team game today in a friendly.
During pre-season, we even managed to score a hat-trick, but we're not going to be counting this as part of our record. It is good to know that I am good enough at the game on this difficulty to actually score one though. And just like on FIFA 14, as the season starts, the most interesting part of the game is probably looking back at some of the old squads. Remember Alan Halilovic? Well, he's in our B team and he has over 90 potential. How about this little French midfielder that the AI kept trying to play on the wing? I'm sure he'll never do anything really of note in football. While we play through the entire season, playing almost every single game, I'll only really highlight the games where either we got a hat-trick, we were playing against Real Madrid, or we were playing in the Champions League. That should make the video not really long. I did think I'd share a couple of clips from our first game of the season though, mainly because we got Aguero, his first goal, but we also got our first goal with Lionel Messi, and what a pass that is from Neymar. I love the little finish over the goalkeeper, and I really can't stress how fun it is to use Lionel Messi on FIFA 15. Now it's really started getting used to how FIFA works, it was time for a game against Villarreal. Early goal there from Messi, and Neymar is just as fun as Messi is on this game. He'd win the penalty, of course we'd let Lionel Messi take it, and with 2 goals after just 20 minutes, I'm sure you can guess what's about to happen. Messi's going to dribble past about 4 players, cut inside, and then find the side netting with a great finish. And that's our first hat-trick of the save in just the second match. We really can break this record and get maybe 10, even 12 hat-tricks in this video. Our next match was against Granada, and I think if there's one thing you'll take from this video, it's that the AI used to be a lot more aggressive. We win yet another penalty. Of course, Lionel Messi is going to step up. He doesn't time it well, but he still beats the goalkeeper and gets an early goal. While I am trying to score some really good goals with Messi, I'm not going to pass up a chance like that, and he would get his second just before half-time. Can you guess what's about to happen? If you guessed Iniesta playing through Messi one-on-one before he does the most weak shot ever into the goal and makes it a hat-trick, then you were exactly right, but we're not done yet. Look at this pass from Neymar yet again. Messi one-on-one is going to chip the goalkeeper and make it 4 goals in one game. While I know he was a superhuman in real life, we've now got 9 goals in just 3 games with Lionel Messi. I mean, that is just the most insane start to a season. His form kept carrying on, he got a couple more hat-tricks, and after just 14 games, we were top of the league by 9 points. We were also doing really well in European football as well. We finished top of our group after 6 games with Dortmund, Olympiacos and Anderlecht, giving us a fairly easy game in the second round against Sporting Lisbon. We decided, because it's the January transfer window, to do something a little bit unexpected. We went out, we saw that he was still on the game, and we re-signed Ronaldinho for Barcelona. He's really old, he's really slow, but he's still really fun to use on the game.
So midway through the season and they're top of the table. They need to keep on winning. Can they do that? So without further ado, we're off to the stadium. Your commentary team, Martin Tyler and Alan Smith.
You know, in this first game, we had to go on some proper FIFA rally or Kazooie kind of skill runs with Ronaldinho. This first one went pretty well, but you might notice up there that Lionel Messi has an injury. It wasn't actually a serious injury, he's not going to be out for months or anything, but it meant Ronaldinho had to step up and basically try and carry this team on his back. As a 35-year-old, he did exactly that. We'd already got 1 penalty early in the game after Neymar won it, and this time, Ronaldinho won it. He would step up. You know he's got flair, so he decides to chip it just to the side of the goalkeeper. That's 2-0 and Elche are pretty much done at this point. We still had time for a couple more Ronaldinho runs though. Look at this one, a flip-flap, cutting inside, he wins the ball back. He's got basically no stamina left, but we're going to keep trying to skill through this defense with him. He's not very good anymore, but there's just something so fun about using Ronaldinho in an old FIFA game. The game against Sporting would be full of ups and downs. One of the biggest ups was this run here from Messi where he beat a bunch of people and then smashed it home. But by far the biggest down was this. Ronaldinho being flipped over in a challenge that would result in him being injured. It actually resulted in more damage than we expected, and that would be his last action in Barcelona and in football, as he would go on to retire. We'd beat Lisbon though, and in the next round we'd be playing against Man City in another really aggressive game. The first leg, we got a red card. There was a bunch of different challenges going on, but I'm not sure why Roberto got one for that. Before Aguero would get on the ball, he'd dribble past two, he'd get into the box, and outside the boot into the far corner. In the 90th minute, Aguero had scored against Manchester City and then celebrated. Absolute scenes. Neymar would put us 2-0 up on aggregate, and this was looking easier than the Sporting Lisbon game, to be honest. Messi nearly scored a trademark Messi goal from the edge of the box, and it really wasn't his day though, because he missed from here. Have a look at this replay. He's about 2 meters out, and he just shoots the wrong way. I'm not even sure what's going on there. Suarez would finish the game going round Joe Hart, and that would probably be the reason that he's going to get sold very, very soon, and that would mean we were through into the Champions Cup final. But before we would play that, we had one last game right here where Messi was level on hat-tricks with both himself and with Cristiano Ronaldo. It was looking like a good start here, Messi getting a penalty as usual. He slots it home straight over the goalkeeper, great finish there. Messi getting on the ball again, dribbling into the box, and the goalkeeper doesn't even dive for it. Messi just cutting straight across the box. There's nothing they can do about that. Messi would get another chance here, similar situation and a similar goal. That would put us 4-1 up, and that would mean Messi has his 9th hat-trick of the season. We've broken the hat-trick record, and we've also won the league. We were trying to win something else though. We were going to be going to the Allianz Arena, facing Bayern Munich basically in a home match, and trying to take the Champions League back to Barcelona. They did this in real life, of course, 2015, as we said at the start of the video, they beat Juventus, but it wasn't a home game like this one was. Bayern Munich started off really well. They had 2 early chances there in the 6th and 7th minute, but we were on fire as well. Messi pressing high against Mehdi Benatia. Do you remember that guy? He couldn't quite beat Manuel Neuer, but we got a couple of more chances there with the ball going back across the goal, but nothing we could do on this occasion. Schweinsteiger would mix up with Goetze, and then Röder would be through on goal. He'd really just been scoring. I think any other midfielder on this Bayern team probably would have done. Messi there, cutting past Alaba, cutting past Boateng, Suarez chipping it towards him, and on the volley, that would have been such a sick Champions League final goal right there, but unfortunately not for us this time. Messi going on a dribble here, he's gone past Alaba and a centre-back, tries to curl it in like he did in that Almeria game, but unfortunately we couldn't do anything on this occasion. He's got away from Boateng though, he's got Alaba on him, he gets away from Alaba as well, one-on-one, and again Neuer is just too much of a top-level goalkeeper in this season. We're now into extra time, and this is going to be probably the biggest moment of our season as Aguero runs through, passes it to Neymar, and Neymar again, even on one-on-one, a pullback goal, can't beat Manuel Neuer. Neymar again important in this play, he gives it to Aguero, and look at Messi in the middle, he's got so much space, it's just Messi one-on-one with Neuer, and this time we do manage to beat him. With just 3 minutes to go, Barcelona 1-0 up in the Champions League final. Surely we can't choke from here. Well, now we're in stoppage time and Piqué's kicking this as far as he can. Messi's not even going to bother chasing after it because the referee's going to blow his whistle, and we've actually won a second competition in this season. We won La Liga, we've won the Champions League, and last year we won Ligue 1. So I need your suggestions in the comments below where we can head next. We're going to watch some of the celebrations right here because of course this was before EA actually managed to license the Champions League. So some of you might not actually know that they used to use a fake trophy for the European Cup on FIFA. Anyway, FIFA 15 is really a way better game than FIFA 14. If you had the opportunity to play both, I would absolutely always recommend you pick FIFA 15. The upgrades on everything, it's got better dribbling, you can actually pass a ball, heading isn't as overpowered, and honestly, Lionel Messi is probably the most fun player I've ever used on FIFA 15. We'll be trying to repeat their 5,000-1 title win in 2016. Why would I be so excited to play as Leicester City? Well, have a look at this team. It's absolutely terrible. We've got all of their players from that Claudio Ranieri era. You've got Vardy, Mahrez, Kante, Drinkwater and Schmeichel, but almost all of them are rated really low. The game servers for FIFA 16 are now fully dead, so there's no way of actually getting the massively upgraded versions of the squad, which is a real shame. We'll definitely need to strengthen both our midfield and our attack, because there's no way that Andy King and Leonardo Aloa are good enough for what we want to do in this game. Let's also talk about which record we're going to try and break in this season. I think this will be the hardest one yet, because we're going to try and match and then beat Jamie Vardy's 12 goals in consecutive games. This streak was a big part of the 2015-16 season, so let's at least try and match that history on our way to the title. Okay, before we start the season, let's make some deals. We have a tiny budget for the Premier League, so let's fast forward history by signing Youri Tielemans in 2016. It might be 3 years sooner than it happened in real life, but we can rescue him from that terrible spell he had in Monaco. While we're strengthening, why don't we also save ourselves some serious cash by bringing in James Maddison before he joins Norwich City? As always, I played the full pre-season just so I could try and get a grip on how the game plays. This game is actually so difficult when it's compared to FIFA 15. We only scored 1 goal in pre-season, so Vardy's record might be hard to match.
And he passes back to the keeper. He's got his shot off now.
Anyway, let's start our season with a classic Premier League game against Sunderland. Sunderland have a pretty similar rated squad to us, but we're going for the title, they're trying to avoid relegation. Our first goal was quite surprising, honestly. It was from Youri Tielemans, a nice finish and definitely an upgrade on Andy King. But if you want to see how hard it is to score on FIFA 16, watch this clip. A good finish from Vardy saved, a header saved off the line, and then the offside player also having another header saved off the line. At least one of those would have gone in on FIFA 23. John O'Shea nearly kept up with Jamie Vardy as well, but we just about scored, made it 2-0, and that's how the game would end. The game kind of proved we needed to use some of this overpowered training that FIFA 16 had to try and get Vardy up into the high 70s if we really wanted to have a chance of breaking that record. If there's one team that I think is a bit overpowered on FIFA 16, it's definitely West Ham. Andy Carroll and Dimitri Payet are both so good on this game, but Tielemans would get his second goal and maybe he's the player we're going to end up breaking this record with. He's definitely in first place at the moment. We had a nice little chance here, Mark Albrighton beating a couple of players, cutting into the box, pulling it across to Mahrez, and he would make it 2-0. With 2 wins from 2 games, we were joint first place in the table, hoping to get a 3rd win in a row against Tottenham Hotspur. Harry Kane was playing in this match, hoping to prove that he wasn't just a one-season wonder after his great season last year, and Tielemans nearly got 3 goals in 3 games, but his long-range effort just about missed the target. The balancing on FIFA 16 is a little bit weird. I got caught up when using Jamie Vardy with Kevin Wimmer several times, despite having 30 or so more pace. This was the only time we could get away from Federico Fazio as well, who has 30 pace himself. Despite the difficulties of playing FIFA 16, we were actually unbeaten after 3 games, joint first place with Man United, Chelsea and Man City. As always seems to happen in these videos, the more I play the FIFA game, the better I get at it and the better the results get. We destroyed Bournemouth early in September, and after 7 games, we were still top of the league. The funniest thing is look who is in last place, Chelsea, with 0 wins from 7 games. I'm not sure how that happened, but it's still pretty funny. Look how tough it is to score on this game. We had so many chances there, but it is time to see our longest goal scoring streak of our entire season. Who do you think it was? Was it Jamie Vardy? No, it was Shinji Okazaki. That was the first one in a home game against Everton, and this next one is by far my favourite goal we scored in the entire season. He beats his man, he spots the goalkeeper off his line, and he just smashes it straight over Boaz Myhill to put us 1-0 up really early in a West Brom game. After leading us to back-to-back wins, he also scored in this one against Manchester City. It would end up a draw, but they are one of our biggest competitors for first place in the league. Crystal Palace there with an absolute massive mistake, so we walked it in with Okazaki. That would be 4 goals in 4 games. Chelsea would be coming to Leicester next up, and Okazaki would have an early chance there, just about missing the post. It was actually proving to be quite tough to score in this game. He had another chance right here, which he couldn't score. The rebound, he couldn't score. He's been so good for us though that even when he doesn't score, his rebounds will fall to our other strikers and put us ahead against Chelsea. Good finish that from Jamie Vardy. We just need to get one with Okazaki. He burst into the box. He would hit the post again. It was looking like this really wasn't his game, and 4 goals was all we're going to manage. Until he does that. He smashes it in off the crossbar. It just about bounces over the line, and that will be 5 goals in 5 games. He was full of confidence though. Trying things like that against Norwich, it's never really going to work. Even when he's 1-on-1, he's trying to hit it too hard if anything. 6 games could be the limit. Andy King would get the ball to him though, and look at that. Exactly in the corner between the top of the crossbar and the side of the post. A perfect finish. Liverpool were another one of our big title contenders, and they actually went ahead. This proved to be the hardest game of this entire streak. Lazar Markovic there nearly scoring a header which would have been a crazy situation. But speaking of crazy situations, just have a look at this. Adam Bogdan lets the ball go through his legs, which does happen quite a lot if you watch replays on FIFA 16. The ball's just randomly transporting through legs and through chests and stuff. But none of those replays were anywhere near as funny as this one. The ball just going through his legs, hitting him on the arse, and then ending up in the net. This was our only real chance with Okazaki, and that means the goal scoring streak will end at 6. And that's as good as we could get. The rest of the season, we couldn't get anywhere near this. We did score quite a few goals with Vardy, we scored quite a lot with Mahrez, and even a few with Kante and Tielemans. But Okazaki would continue to be our best player all the way through into May. But before we get any further in the season, let's have a quick look at youth scouting and how player development worked back on FIFA 16. You might think this isn't as interesting as actually playing the matches, but on FIFA 16 it was actually pretty cool. So this is how training worked. It's the same as it is now. You get between an A and an F rating, but it was totally done randomly. This is what a youth scout report looked like as well. So we're going to sign this guy here, Sonny Bassat. He's got 82 to 94 potential, he comes in really cheap, and we're going to see how overpowered we can make him in just a single season. He's going to be starting off as a 60 overall, 5'5" goalkeeper who's only 15 years old. If we put him on one-on-one goalkeeping and throws and drop kicks every single week for a couple of months, he's going to get overpowered very, very quickly. When you think on modern FIFAs, it's a good result if you can get a player to develop by 5, maybe 8 overall in a single season. Well, it took us 6 months to get this guy from a 60 overall goalkeeper to a 72. And don't worry about his height either, because he is going to keep developing and growing in the youth academy. You can see it wasn't just youth players as well. Look at James Maddison here, he's nearly grown by 20 in some of his stats. Now it's at this point of the video where I'd love to say, hey, there's a big title battle going on here. We could win the league on the last day by beating second place or something like that. But unfortunately for us, or actually quite fortunately, we'd already won the league like 2 or 3 games ago. We absolutely destroyed it. But it was probably the most anticlimactic end to any season I've ever uploaded to YouTube. There was no real relegation battle, there was no title battle, there wasn't even a trophy lifting animation. All we got was this news article. I mean, what an awful end to a season. I asked in a poll and you answered. We're going to be starting at Leicester City to try and win another title, just like we did on FIFA 16. I think 2 in a row would be even better than a 5,000 to 1 title win. So why would I be excited to play as Leicester City again? Well, take a look at our team. It's so much better now. We've got all of their players from last season, Vardy, Mahrez, Drinkwater and Schmeichel, and they all got massively upgraded. Just like FIFA 16, the servers for FIFA 17 are fully dead, so there's actually no way of getting the even better version of the squad anymore from updates, but we'll take what we've got. Just like last year, we need to strengthen both our attack and our midfield. We'll re-sign Yuri Tielemans, we've already got James Maddison, so that just leaves a new striker. Before we sign one, let's finally talk about which record we're going to be going for this season. This season, we're going to try and break the record for most goals in a calendar month. We'll need to beat Luis Suarez's 10 goals in December 2013. Pre-season started, and before we could even get any signings in, we decided to play the first 2 matches anyway.
Hi there everybody, welcome to this pre-season tournament.
This game is so much better than FIFA 16. You can tell it's the first modern FIFA that uses the Frostbite engine. After pre-season ended, we managed to sign Kelechi Iheanacho, a player we've heard has 88 potential on FIFA 17, a full year ahead of when Leicester actually bought him. Anyway, pre-season is now over. Let's start our season with the Community Shield.
Hello everyone, welcome to the FA Community Shield. I'm Martin Tyler, and with me, I'm delighted to say, Alan Smith.
So while I know it's not the most glamorous competition on the game, we're going to try and win the Community Shield right here. It's probably a bit more exciting than watching me play in pre-season while I learn the controls. It seems like the AI also needs to learn the controls though, because they just passed it straight to me, Iheanacho across to Musa, and we were 1-0 up after just 8 minutes. I really enjoy FIFA 17, but the AI can be pretty stupid and also pretty overpowered, as we'll see throughout this video, depending on what mood it's in. You can also see players like Blind here keeping up with Jamie Vardy. There wasn't really a huge amount of pace difference on FIFA 17, but the gameplay is actually still really fun to play. I'm not too sure why, but Manchester United just constantly ran down the left side. I don't know if it's because Danny Simpson's our weak link in defence, but after 10 goes it finally worked and Blind would equalise for Manchester United. There's no extra time in the Community Shield, it's going to go straight to penalties, and that means it's a good chance for us to learn how to take a penalty and also a good chance for us to win the competition. I thought it was funny that Pogba would miss a penalty on his debut, and then we would go on, we would score 4 out of 5 and win the competition. That's one trophy down, and this year, I think we'll try and get the worst possible treble. How can Leicester City hope to get a treble, you might ask? Well, we're actually in 5 competitions, including the Community Shield and the League Cup, and we've already won one of these. We just need 2 more successes in one of these minor competitions to get this treble. But hey look, the Premier League now has the newer scoreboards, that means the season must be starting. Hull City isn't the most nostalgic Premier League game, but that's where we're starting our season with a pretty easy win. While I doubt many of you miss Hull City playing in the Premier League, 2 things you might miss are these random transfer demand shockers you could get in career mode, and also historic kits, like this Arsenal one right here. Why are these not new features that are going back into the game? I think they both add a lot of depth, and I really hope EA decides to re-add them. Even though we didn't decide to put Arsenal in their historic kits, Jamie Vardy did make them look like a historic team. He absolutely blitzed past them in this big game against a potential title rival. Arsene Wenger not looking very happy right there. There's something really cool about the finesse shots on FIFA 17. I mean, just look at that one. It just felt really satisfying to score. It looked good, it sounded good, and it felt good, and that's all that really matters on career mode. The thing about the AI though, they love passing it around and they're actually really good at it. You see right there, right back Mathieu Debuchy, if you remember him, but it didn't really even matter at all. We go on to win, and that's 2 wins in a row. We decided to have a look at some of the lone players that you could get back on FIFA 17. We saw Declan Rice, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Alexander Zinchenko right here is an attacking midfielder, not even a left back. Martin Odegaard, 17 years old, and Ashraf Hakimi doesn't even have a face. But we're not going to be using any of these young players because we have one of our own that we'll be using in this cup game against Luton Town. Good goal there to open the scoring from Musa, he cut inside, but it was time to give 53 rated Harvey Barnes his first minutes in a Leicester kit. He's a centre mid, he's got like 44 stamina, and guess what, we won't be even trying to play him a single more minute because he was absolutely dreadful and played just like a 53 overall player. We'll need all of our better players to be fit for this game against Olympique Lyon, which is going to be the first ever Leicester Champions League match. It's still not actually a licensed tournament on FIFA for a couple more seasons, I think, but we got off to a really good start. A rebounded goal there from Jamie Vardy, proving not only can he score in the Premier League, but also the Champions League. We went on a really nice run, and we actually qualified after just 4 games with 3 wins and 1 draw. We basically played our reserves for the other 2 games just to save some fitness, and we needed the reserves and the fitness because we also were playing in the EFL Cup. This was the winner against Everton that would get us through into the semi-finals, and we were also doing really well in the league, 3rd place, 5 points behind Manchester City. You remember that record we said we were going to try and break? That was 10 goals in 1 month, and this is the month we're going to try and do it in. This 89th minute winner was the first goal of the month against Sunderland. Jamie Vardy with a pretty easy finish to put us 1-0 up and get us the win. He would also put us ahead against Middlesbrough with another nice finesse finish into the corner. Nothing Victor Valdez can do about that one. He wasn't all just about goals, he was a good team player right here, giving Riyad Mahrez a nice one-on-one, and again a similar finish to what Vardy did. We'd go on to win this match as well. Next up was 3rd place against 1st place, where we were going to be playing against Man City. Going to be a tougher game, but again, another nice one-on-one and a good finish there from Jamie Vardy. That's really what he excels in. John Stones there proving that maybe he could be a midfield box-to-box player back in 2017. And I thought we'd really messed this whole situation up until the referee decided to give us a penalty. I wasn't too sure why, but I guess Zabaleta did really push over Vardy. He stepped up and got his 4th goal in 3 games, meaning he has to get 6 goals in the next 4 matches to tie the record. As this was the 3rd game in 6 days, we had a super tired squad. But it looked like Bournemouth did as well, because they were lazy defending there. Simon Francis hacking down Jamie Vardy and getting an early red card. For once, we actually made the most of an AI aggressive free kick. Mahrez would end up heading the ball in, pretty uncharacteristic, but we were happy with it. His 2nd goal of the month, and then Vardy was brought down yet again. Bournemouth, a very aggressive team for some reason, and that was another goal there for Jamie Vardy. He's closing in on this record, it's looking very much possible. Another goal from him there means he now has 6 goals from just 4 games, and this could be the hat-trick. Totally wasted there from Vardy. He could be on 7 goals and he could be basically at the record already. The FIFA 17 gods gave us yet another penalty, this time Glenn Johnson fouling Jamie Vardy, but Premier League legend Shay Given would just about keep it out. Vardy would get another chance, and there's nothing Given could do about that one. A proper FIFA 17 smashed home finish. This Stoke defence was actually really resilient. In these clips it might look like it was a super easy game, but they were so strong, they were surprisingly quick, and it was actually really tough, but we still did manage to get a hat-trick. So that was goals 7, 8 and 9, finished off with a nice dab there from Jamie Vardy, meaning we needed 1 goal to match the record from these 2 games against Everton and West Ham, or 2 to beat it. Of course, we kept on doing some nice overpowered training. We got Maddison up to like a 73 now. We don't need to train Jamie Vardy though, he's just gone and scored another goal. That's the record matching 10th goal, and he celebrates with the Daniel Sturridge. Honestly, I was trying to do the Luis Suarez celebration there, sort of as a tribute because we were matching his record, but I think I just pressed the wrong buttons, which is a bit unfortunate because that would have been pretty funny to watch. It's not just about the record though, we are still trying to win games. We managed to keep Everton out even though they were pushing on really hard at the end, and that meant this was all about Jamie Vardy. Could he get the goal? Could he break the record? A nice bit of play there with Iheanacho means that he would be 1-1 and he would score. That's 11 goals in these 7 games. That pushed us all the way up from 4th in the table to now being 1st by 4 points. That was an insane month. I think we won 6 games out of the 7 and drew the other one against Manchester City, and we also made it to the final of the EFL Cup. Jamie Vardy was the player to watch. We know the impact he's had in the league. Could he do the same in the League Cup? Well, he got through 1-1 after just 7 minutes, but he couldn't finish this one. I don't understand. Sometimes he's so lethal and sometimes he wastes such easy chances. There's something about Wembley that really makes Musa play super well. He scored in the Community Shield all the way back in our first game of the season, and now he scored in the EFL Cup final as well. We would go on to only face that one real attack from Norwich City. That means we had won the trophy and we'd now done the double, possibly the worst double you can do in English football, but we're still going to market it and celebrate that as doing the double with Leicester. Into the Champions League, we got a 1-1 draw in the round of 16 games against Napoli, meaning that we were playing the second leg at home. It wasn't a good start. Wes Morgan gave away a penalty, Schmeichel dived the right way, but Gabbiadini still found the net. There was a corner and then there was this goal. I mean, that is absolutely insane. If you have a look, it did bounce off Mark Albrighton and it was technically given as an own goal to him, but I'm still counting that as one of the best Champions League goals of all time, a volley straight from a corner. We'd get our way back into the game with a penalty right here, Damari Gray winning it. Vardy jogged up and the goalkeeper guessed right, just like Schmeichel did, but our one didn't go in. That felt a little bit unfair. Anyway, we're now at the end of the season because not really too much else happened in the year. We got knocked out in the FA Cup in the 4th round. We already knew we were going to finish in 4th place by the last game of the season, so it didn't even matter that we lost it. The table looked a lot closer than it actually was. A lot of our players improved quite a lot of +4s, +1s, +2s on some of these lower rated players. And overall, I really enjoyed our season playing FIFA 17. I'd say the next FIFA game that's actually better than FIFA 17 is probably FIFA 22. I asked in a poll which team you wanted me to manage, and you answered with Real Madrid. We're going to be trying to win their 3rd consecutive Champions League title, something that Madrid are the only club to have ever done in the past. So let's try and repeat that famous side from the 1950s. Is this Real Madrid team exciting? Well, yes, take a look at their squad. We're finally also playing a season on a game that has active servers, so we actually have the most updated squad possible, but there is still room for us to improve. There's no need for a total rebuild, but we can definitely develop it in Zidane style. Next time someone tries to use FIFA ratings to try and justify a real life transfer to you, remind them that back on FIFA 18, Lukaku was rated higher than Benzema and Carlos Alenia had the potential to be better than Cesc Fabregas. Finally, let's talk about records. Today we're breaking a massive one. Chelsea hold the record for the fewest goals conceded for a team winning the Champions League. To beat it, we'll need to win the trophy while conceding less than 4 goals. To be good enough to do this, I'll definitely need to play in pre-season and learn how this game works.
Ronaldo!
While this game isn't quite as fun as FIFA 17, it's still a massive improvement over FIFA 14, 15 and 16. Anyway, let's talk about signings. As always, I'll try and limit myself to signings that the club will actually make in the near future, and we'll be starting with our biggest signing. You might also notice this is the first year that has cutscene negotiations rather than just a clipboard, truly groundbreaking stuff. So Eden Hazard will use most of our transfer budget. It's a signing I really wanted to see work in real life, and we'll be playing with Hazard, Ronaldo and Bale up front.
It's a great start for this club to have now Eden Hazard alongside all the other players.
I really like Benzema in real life as well, but he'll just have to be the rotation for this season. We can also raid Chelsea for Thibaut Courtois. Keylor Navas is rated way lower than you'd probably expect, so Courtois will be going straight in as our first choice goalkeeper. We win our pre-season tournament and we're going straight into another final, the Super Cup against Barcelona. So this competition, if you didn't know, is 2 legs. It's basically the same as the Community Shield, which we won in our last season with Leicester City, but it was going to be a bit easier this time because we had Cristiano Ronaldo. Good assist there from Eden Hazard. Bale, Ronaldo and Hazard is by far one of the best front threes I've ever used and the most fun front threes I've ever used on FIFA career mode. I used Messi, Suarez and Neymar earlier in this series and that was pretty cool as well, but I do think this front three is a little bit better. Barcelona have moved on from Neymar to Titi playing on the left wing and he had their only real chance in the first leg. In the second leg, which was back at the Nou Camp, Barcelona played a little bit better. They scored the early goal right here to put themselves with just 1 goal behind us. Bale would restore a 2-goal lead. Before we did this with Ronaldo, we beat Piqué, we beat Titi, and we went on to beat ter Stegen as well, putting us 2-1 up at the home of our biggest rivals, so 4-1 on aggregate. It looked like we were easily heading to the cup. Well, Barcelona did score another goal. Well, it was more of a little tap in there from Suarez. It really didn't matter though, because it meant Sergio Ramos was lifting a Super Cup. We've only played 1 non-friendly match and we've already won a cup, which is an amazing start for our time in Madrid. In this episode, we're mainly going to be focusing on the Champions League, but I thought I would include the first match of our season here against Deportivo. Ronaldo proving that he's too fast, he's too strong and too skillful for a small Spanish team like Deportivo. We go on to win quite a few of our first 5 matches, putting us first in the table. And then it was time for the Champions League journey to begin. Well, I call it the Champions League, it's actually still the Champions Cup until FIFA 19, but we still needed to get off to a good start and try and concede as few goals as we could in the group stage. Hazard, Bale and Ronaldo were all basically out of the match in this one. They couldn't get involved, but thankfully Varane would leap highest from a corner and score a nice opening goal in the Champions League. We did nearly score a halfway line effort here with Kovacic, but it would end 1-0 against Olympiacos, which is actually quite far below what we were expecting. In a game against Copenhagen, we got off to a better start, scoring after just 8 minutes. But then Copenhagen went absolutely insane. No matter what we tried to do, we just could not clear this ball. We've seen 2 attempts already. This header here from Sergio Ramos going straight to the defensive midfielder. Then it was recycled and slotted straight in. So that's our first goal conceded. We've only got another 2 more for the rest of this competition. From then on, in the rest of the match, we got so unlucky. Hazard missing an easy chance, Bale getting denied 1 penalty, and then a few minutes later, cutting into the box in the last minute, and then just being totally shoved over. No decision from the referee, so that one would end 1-1, a really disappointing result. Napoli at home was the next match, and we were glad it was at home because the away teams always seem a little bit overpowered on FIFA 18 in the Champions League. Cristiano Ronaldo is also very overpowered. You see there, he just sprints past like there's not even a defender right there and slots it into the corner. Unbelievably, this game was a lot easier than the one against Copenhagen. We got another chance here with Ronaldo. He beat Koulibaly, then he ran past Albiol like he wasn't even there. He had the finish and we were 2-0 up just after half time. For some reason, Napoli had Seamus Coleman and James Milner playing at fullbacks alongside Koulibaly and Albiol. I think FIFA is the only place on earth you would see those kind of transfers. Well, Casemiro got in on the scoring for us as well, making it 3-0. And it was just such an easy match compared to the away match against Copenhagen. But we were playing them next and we'd go on to smash them 4-0. We would then play Olympiacos, get a 0-0 draw, and we'd get a nice 1-0 win to beat Napoli in the final group stage match, meaning that we'd played all 6 games, we'd won 4, only conceded a single goal, and we were through into the knockout round where we would be playing at Porto. Basically, every one of our players went into this match on top form. We'd already destroyed Barcelona and Atletico Madrid in the league, and Ronaldo was a massive part of that. He was a massive part of our Champions League campaign as well. But we had bad news. We would concede our 2nd goal of the tournament, Herrera smashing one in from the edge of the box. While we did concede a goal, we weren't really at any danger of losing the match at any point. Ronaldo would get his 2nd goal, and then a nice chip ball would get him his hat-trick after just 57 minutes. You might have noticed from the goals we conceded against Copenhagen and Porto that the AI is actually quite good at scripting goals whenever it feels like it. I don't want to sound salty over a 7-year-old game, but you really do have to concentrate and make sure you're not giving the AI any chances to score a goal. And unfortunately, we did give it a chance, but thankfully they messed it up on this occasion. We are playing on Legendary, but the AI is also still quite dumb on this difficulty. You can see right here, Ronaldo beating the defender and the referee not giving a penalty yet again. When it comes to collisions on FIFA 18, I think the referee is was maybe a little bit too lenient. We scored this banger with Eden Hazard. That would be his first real good Champions League goal for us. We'd go on to win the game, and that would mean we were playing against Tottenham Hotspur in the quarter-finals. Their team isn't that great, but our team is absolutely amazing. I mean, just look at the league table. We're absolutely dominating La Liga at this point, 14 points ahead of Barcelona. We've got to play them, and we might even be able to win the title at the Nou Camp, which would be absolutely hilarious. But back to the Champions League, and all the attention was on two players, as you would expect, Cristiano Ronaldo and Harry Kane. While we have already played the first leg, because it did end 0-0, nothing really interesting enough to show did happen. This game was actually pretty interesting. We got the corner in here from Cruz, and Varane would score another Champions League header. It seems like corners are also a little bit overpowered on FIFA 18, but somehow we still haven't scored one with Sergio Ramos, despite him scoring a bunch of them in real life. Both goalkeepers were absolutely on fire. Hugo Lloris was at his peak in this season, and Thibaut Courtois was a massive reason we're doing as well as we were. But finally, it would happen. Ronaldo would be through on goal, he would kick the back of Walker Peters and go down. Somehow we got a penalty for that, despite when we've been pushed over in the box, we've got nothing, but I'm not going to complain. Ronaldo would step up, and that is a typical Ronaldo penalty. The goalkeeper didn't even dive, and that's a typical Ronaldo celebration. We were going to hope that he was on form in this next match, because he was returning to one of his former clubs, Manchester United, in the semi-finals.
We are getting towards the business end of the Champions Cup. Here we are at the semi-final stage, Alan Smith.
I don't know why, but Manchester United had this obsession with playing both Nemanja Matic and Marouane Fellaini in midfield. They had no creativity, they couldn't even defend or run, and Ronaldo took advantage by putting us 1-0 up early on. Martial and Lukaku were playing up front for Manchester United. They would break down basically every move by either not being fast enough or not being agile enough. But Eric Bailly would be the one they wanted on the crosses. Martial is the one that volleyed it in, and that meant we'd conceded 3 goals now. We couldn't concede another goal if we wanted to break this record. With just a couple of seconds left, Ronaldo would 1-2 it with Modric, and then he would slide tackle the ball past David De Gea, putting us 2-1 up, meaning we're going into our home leg with the advantage. It was all about Ronaldo, really. He had this chance here, he beat his defender, he would hit it off the crossbar, and his header, he couldn't quite beat Marcos Rojo. And then a crazy effort there from Casemiro, that's never going in. Of course, Manchester United really wanted the win themselves, but they had Martial, someone we managed way back when we were Monaco manager in this series, and it doesn't seem like he's got much better. What a tackle that was from Carvajal. Ronaldo would get the ball again, flip-flap past one. He would almost score a nice long-range effort. It was full of chances this game in a pure FIFA 18 box-to-box way. Physicality was important, and for us, a clean sheet was important. Not only would we be through to the final, but it meant we had a chance of breaking this record still. Marcelo went off for Fernandes. We at one point had 6 centre-backs on the pitch. We kept holding out. The referee would blow his whistle, and we were through to the final. But before we play the final, we've got something important to do in La Liga. If we can beat 17th place Leganes in this match, we win the title at the Bernabeu. Ronaldo would do everything he could to try and win this match. You see there 2 goals before half-time before he unleashed this effort from beyond the box. I think that was probably my favourite goal we scored in the league or the Champions League this season, and what a way to win the title. I know we didn't show too much of La Liga in this episode, that's just because it was so easy. It was basically us winning every game we played 3-0, and even if we simulated the matches, we'd go on to win 2-4-0 basically every single time. But at least the Champions League was going to be exciting, because we had a final now against Borussia Dortmund. And because EA never bothered to add the Kiev final stadium that was actually where this Champions League final was held, instead it's going to be held at our stadium, the Bernabeu. While we're the away team technically, and I'm not too sure why, it did feel like Dortmund were actually the home team because they got this massive boost. They have a ton of really fast players. Royce, Aubameyang and Dembele are all very fast on this year's game, and they were causing us so much trouble. Aubameyang there with the turn of pace, just about being blocked by Vallejo because Ramos got injured in that game against Leganes. Another chance here for Dortmund, and another great save. So that's 3 chances they've had in the first 10 minutes, all saved by Courtois. Our first real attack came after 25 minutes. Bale shooting from a bizarre angle. When he had Hazard, he possibly could have crossed the ball to. Aubameyang again, trying to outpace Vallejo. His trickery, he hits both posts and it just stays out. We're absolutely on the ropes here, and half-time couldn't have come at a better time. We decided to change our formation up a little bit. We put Modric and Casemiro both as defensive midfielders to try and stop that space that they were exploiting with their faster players. Even Ronaldo there couldn't do anything, but we were pressing them high up the pitch now. Gareth Bale would had a chance, and then finally it would fall to Eden Hazard, our signing from way back at the start of the season. He had an awful time of it in real life, but here he's just scored in the Champions League final for a home match for Real Madrid. We just have to keep it solid now. We'll get the record and we'll get the Champions League. No mistakes, but we've made a huge one. Guerrero passes it to Aubameyang. Socrates is not the man. They want to be hitting that ball. You want someone like big game Gareth Bale, who would make it 2-0 in the very last minute with a header. He's another player that wasn't well liked by Real Madrid fans when he played for Real Madrid, but Gareth Bale and Eden Hazard, they were the big game players. They're the ones that contributed in the final. Ronaldo didn't actually do too much, which I was a little bit surprised about. But the referee would blow their whistle, and it was finally official that we had done the three-peat while only conceding 3 goals. That's a little bit poetic, if anything. A lot of threes going on right there. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you continue to enjoy this series where I'm playing a season in every single FIFA game. Of course, you've probably worked out by now that FIFA 19 is the next game that we're going to be playing. Keep an eye out for the poll and you can vote on what team we'll use for FIFA 19. But I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you enjoy watching Real Madrid lift the Champions Cup. And thank you for watching. Really appreciate all your support on this series and all the subscribers and all the likes and every comment that I've got. Thank you so much. Cheers and goodbye. In this series, I'm playing a season in every FIFA game from FIFA 14 all the way to FIFA 23, and today we're playing FIFA 19. Instead of using a poll to decide on our team, instead I took the most commented team from the past 5 videos, and in this season, we'll be taking over Borussia Dortmund. Look how young and exciting this Dortmund team is. Even better, because FIFA 19 servers are still online, we can download the latest version of the team, meaning we have 88 rated Royce, 91 potential Sancho, and £75 million to spend. With all this potential, we'll be developing these 5 players as much as we can, and our goal is to try and get at least 2 of them to 85 rated by the end of this season. We're also going to try and break a record. We're going to be ambitious, we're going to go for the most team goals in one season in the Bundesliga. Currently Bayern hold the record with 101 goals, but really, I'll just be happy if we can make it to 100. To be good enough to score 100 goals though, of course, I'll need to play in pre-season and learn how this game works.
Well, welcome to the start of the European International Cup, the first group stage game of this pre-season tournament.
Yeah, and these tournaments, much more of a big deal these days, and the fans certainly play a bigger part.
FIFA 17 is still my favourite game we've played, but the way the players move on FIFA 19 is so much better than FIFA 18. The passing is crisp, and you can score some bangers because volleys are overpowered as hell. As always, we'll make some signings, but I'll try and limit myself to signings the club will make in the near future. This summer, we'll only be making one, but I promise we'll make another one in winter. Just like last year, cutscenes are a big part of transfers. Take me back to that clipboard from FIFA 15. Anyway, Mats Hummels will use most of our transfer budget. He rejoined Dortmund a year later than this in real life, but we'll pay whatever it takes to strengthen our defence. Because we're going for a goal scoring record, these 3 defenders will basically be defending by themselves. Anyway, it's time to see how this tactic works. The Bundesliga is about to begin, and it's a massive game against Leipzig up first. Of course I chose to play as Dortmund because I saw so many comments requesting that I did, but also I chose them because they have such a cool atmosphere and stadium on FIFA. I'm sure at this point most of you have given a save with Dortmund a go, but if you haven't already, it's well worth a try on the next FIFA game, or even if you go back in time like I have in one of these old ones. As long as they've got a real stadium, they're a super fun team. Anyway, back to the gameplay. We went 1-0 up quite early with Goetze, but you'll see throughout the season that Royce is absolutely the main man. He's like 88 rated, nearly 89 if we trained him for a couple of weeks, and we don't really trust Paco Alcacer at striker, so we're playing him through the middle. We went 3-1 up, the game would end 3-2, but 3 goals is actually the exact amount of goals we need to average throughout the season. With 34 games, 3 goals in every game would mean we score 102 over the course of one Bundesliga season. Of course, it's not going to be that simple. We've got some way tougher teams in this league like Bayern Munich, but it's the games against teams like Hanover that we absolutely have to take advantage from. Despite the footage you've been seeing from this second match in the season, Hanover were actually really tough to play against. They played this really high press style where they had a lot of physical players, and we were lucky that we had quite a bit of pace in Royce, Pulisic and Sancho up front, and we scored some very lucky goals. We got a penalty, a bicycle kick, one where the goalkeeper just passed us the ball, and then that long-range effort there from Axel Witsel. We somehow won 4-0, and this 4-0 win means we will go top of the Bundesliga, of course, with 2 wins and that many goals scored, but we want more. Hakimi gets his first goal for Dortmund right here in a game against Frankfurt. Götze gets yet another, and you might notice how bad we are at defending if you look at the scoreboard, from 2-1 up to 3-2 down. It doesn't really matter though, because Royce is on hand to make it 3-3, so that would be 7 points from just 3 matches. We're on track not only to break this record, but also to win the Bundesliga. One of the coolest things about this game is the amount of long-range efforts that go in, not only for you, but also the AI. It really adds some variety to some of the goals. They can also make some hilarious mistakes, just like on older FIFAs right here. Royce winning the ball, cutting inside, he went for a shot, and Delaney just about missed the goal there with a header from the edge of the box. I think FIFA 19 Marco Reus is probably going to beat FIFA 15 Lionel Messi for being the best player I've used in this series. Mario Götze is also up there, his finishing is absolutely amazing. I'd say one of the biggest problems with these older FIFA games is that when the AI wants to score, they will just score. It doesn't matter the angle they're at or what player they're using, they will just do a powerful shot that will go straight through your goalkeeper. And that would result in 2 of those happening in this game, and we would lose 2-1. Now, I don't want to waste your time, I don't want you to be here all day, so let's have a quick run through of the next couple of games, and we'll do them in a more condensed fashion. So the first game was Dortmund against Wolfsburg. Hakimi scored a nice finish here, that was quite a satisfying goal. The chip through ball, the control, and then the finish, really nice, and Hakimi was on it today. He got another chance here. Look at his pace. Even though he's quite young, he is still really highly rated. But Jadon Sancho, his crossing is amazing, and Royce is always going to finish that. So that was another 2 goals towards our record. Next up was the hardest game in our season. So this was the 10th game of the season, and it was against Bayern Munich. I've included this first clip in this video just because I need you to look how good their team is along the bottom. Neuer, Kimmich, Boateng, Jimenez and Alaba, what a defence that is. All really overpowered on FIFA. They've got Tolisso, James Rodriguez and Goretzka, which was one of the best midfielders on Ultimate Team. Then they had Ribery, Lewandowski and Serge Gnabry up front, and this was absolutely insane to play against. They were playing like prime Pep was in charge. They were doing one-touch passing. James Rodriguez nearly opening the scoring there after 16 minutes. Their defence is really good, but we had more pace, so we got this really good counter-attacking chance, and Sancho would smash the ball into the roof of the net. But you might have noticed Pulisic was very marginally offside. Remember this decision because it will come in important in a few seconds time. So, the next Bayern Munich attack, after they hit the crossbar there with Lewandowski, really good chance. Have a look at Goretzka in the build-up right here. I think he might be offside, but I need your guys' opinion in the comments below. Let me know if you think he's offside right here, because I think that would probably be given offside with VAR in 2023. Anyway, let's not get too annoyed at a decision in a 4-year-old FIFA game. That's the kind of thing we were putting up with though. Every time we would attack, Alaba would be there, and then things would go from bad to worse. We absolutely collapsed from around the 40th minute until the end of the match. First up was James, then there was this passing play here, Gnabry finessing the ball straight past Berkey, and then Lewandowski would get one from an almost impossible angle through a sea of bodies. We needed improvements and we needed them fast, but thankfully we had the exact man in mind. When you think of Dortmund and you think of goals, you think of Erling Haaland. He's only 69 rated, but he has stats that are really high in all the really important areas. He's joining a Dortmund team that's played half a season and got 48 goals in 16 games. In his first game, we absolutely destroy our rivals. We end up beating Schalke 7-0, and they're not even that bad on FIFA 19. So Haaland slowly started to settle into the squad, and I'm sure you were expecting good things just like I was. This game against Düsseldorf proves that maybe we were both wrong. First of all, he probably should have had a penalty for that first chance, but he definitely should have scored that one. The best thing about this formation is how many chances it creates, so we just needed to score one with Haaland to get him off the mark. This one was actually quite difficult, Sancho providing quite a wide pass, but yet again, it was a miss from Haaland. And Düsseldorf, with their only attack of the game, would show exactly how Haaland should be shooting. Thankfully though, we had a couple of the older players in our squad turn up in this game. Axel Witsel from a corner, and then Marco Reus would cut into the box and smash one into the roof of the net, somehow making us come back despite Erling Haaland getting a 4 out of 10. That meant we need to go into shooting practice with Haaland, try and get his finishing stat up, and also try and learn how he likes to be played on FIFA 19. So you can see that training really didn't go that well, he missed a bunch of the chances, and we're going to try and set a goal of scoring 10 goals with Haaland from the rest of this season. While we are struggling to score goals with Haaland, there is a lot of goals coming from other places in the team. Delaney and Axel Witsel actually got a surprising amount between them. There's something really good about those kind of midfielders on this game, the big, stocky target men, and Haaland would finally get his first goal in this game against Hertha Berlin. Would it be the first and only goal he scores this season, or would it be the first of many? Well, we needed him to score quite a few this season because after 25 games, we'd only scored 66. If we kept scoring at this rate, we would end up on 91 goals and be miles off that record. In this next period of games, we needed to absolutely go for it in every single match. We needed to score as many goals as fast as we could. Witsel got the first one there, and then Sancho and Haaland began a pretty lethal combination we'd formed up front. Royce scored a lot of goals in the early season, but the end of the season was all about Sancho and Haaland. Sancho would win the penalty here, and Haaland would step up and smash it in. That would be Haaland's hat-trick in this match, and look at the confidence he had. He was missing one-on-ones, and now he was nearly scoring from the edge of the box. He had a chance here to score 4 goals in one game. He made the most of it. 4 goals and 5 goals for the team in this game put us well back on track. We would continue in the next couple of matches as well. This wasn't just a one-off game. We'd go on to smash Wolfsburg in the next match, Jadon Sancho scoring the best goal right here in what would turn out to be a 7-0 win, a second one of the season. So that meant after 31 games, we'd now scored 90 goals. We were well on track. We needed 12 goals from the last 3 matches of this season. Just a few games after we signed Haaland, when he was still in that bad streak of form, we decided to try and change up our tactic a bit. We were playing him through the middle. He was actually so much better as a left forward and a front 3. So we had Sancho right wing, we had Royce through the middle, and then we had Haaland playing left wing on get in behind. And he got so many chances and so many pullbacks. Royce was the exact opposite though. This seemed to make him play a lot worse. He went from being the main man scoring basically all of our goals to basically scoring no goals at all anymore. He was still super important as a creator, but a lot of our goals were starting to come from Jadon Sancho. I really enjoyed using every single player in this team, so if you ever go back to FIFA 19, make sure you give Haaland, Sancho and Royce a go, no matter what team you're playing at. See if you can sign them, because they're all super fun. We nearly scored straight from a kickoff in the second to last game against Dusseldorf, and this was one of those games where it just seemed like the AI wanted to win. I mean, they just stuck that one straight in the top corner. A couple of minutes later, Hummels gets out-jumped by Luca Bacchio, who I think is a winger now, and that would be 2-0 down after 16 minutes. No matter what we tried for the rest of the first half, we couldn't really find the back of the net with any chance, until Axel Witsel unleashed this shot. Really enjoy scoring these goals from the edge of the box, so of course we're picking the ball up and trying to restart the game as fast as we can. You don't really think of Erling Haaland as a really good creator, but that pass through to Sancho, which would eventually be the equaliser, was so good. It was perfectly weighted, it split the defence straight through the middle of 2 players. It didn't take long until we were actually ahead in the game for the first time. Guerrero scoring a nice curled effort there to make it 3 goals in this game. Well, make that 4, and it was actually a second for Guerrero, our left wing back. He'd scored 2 goals in a really important game for our title fight. Well, Axel Witsel had also scored 2 goals, both from outside the box. That one pretty lucky how it bounced back to him. But like I said at the start of this video, volleys are kind of overpowered. If you think we were playing on a lower difficulty, I think goals like that will prove that we are actually still playing on Legendary. The referee's going to blow his whistle, and that means in this final match, we need 3 goals to either match the record we've been going for this entire episode, or we need 4 goals to overtake it and become the highest scoring Bundesliga team ever. Here's some of our player ratings if you want to know how we've been developing our players, but it was time for this game against Borussia Mönchengladbach. This was going to be super important to get that first goal, force the AI to attack so there was a lot more space for our pace, and it took just 5 minutes for Marco Reus to get that first goal. He hadn't scored in about 10 matches before this one, but when it really matters, Marco Reus stepped up and he was the man we wanted. Delaney would bring the ball forwards. Reus was offside there, but well left, and Haaland would get on the end of it. What a cross that is, and Sancho really should be scoring, but Jan Sommer is not the goalkeeper you want to be facing when you're trying to score at least 3 goals in one game. So into the second half now. We haven't had too many chances so far, but you know what kind of chances we've been scoring. It's ones like this. From the edge of the box, smashed in. Jan Sommer's getting nowhere near that. He's not the tallest goalkeeper on this year's game. And that meant it was 2-0. Sancho would beat one man. He would get into the box, he would Rabona across it, and it would be Delaney who meant we had now matched that record we've been going for this entire episode. 101 league goals, and going into injury time, we were level with that Bayern Munich record. Reus would beat his man. Could this be it? Oh, it absolutely was. That's exactly the man you want to be on that chance. He did the Berbatov spin, he smashed it past Sommer, the referee wouldn't even let Mönchengladbach kick off. It meant we had won the league, we had broken the record, and we had done everything we set out to in this save on FIFA 19. Going into playing this episode, this FIFA 19 game, I thought this was actually one of the worst games for the first couple of matches, but the more I got into it, the more enjoyable it was. It really focused on dribbling, passing was decent compared to some of the older games, shooting was just really fun, you could score bangers and worldies with basically any midfielder as long as they had a decent long shot stat. It was just a really fun game. If you've got this downloaded, or if you can go to a second-hand shop and buy it for £1, like I literally did, I posted that on the Discord. If you want to go and join that and find out some more behind-the-scenes secrets of this series, feel free. But it's super fun. I do recommend you give FIFA 19 a go. We've won the Bundesliga now, we've won the Premier League, we've won the French League and the Spanish League. There's only the Italian League left to go, so maybe that can be one of our later saves, and that's proof we broke the record. Really appreciate your support on the series still. I think everyone's really enjoying it as much as I am to make it, and thank you for watching. Cheers and goodbye. In this series, I'm playing a season in every FIFA game from FIFA 14 all the way to FIFA 23, and today we're playing FIFA 20. I posted a poll asking which club we should manage, and if we ignore Dortmund, who we used last year, Milan was the clear winner. And that's good news because it's probably the most fun save here. Compared to last year's young and exciting Dortmund side, the AC Milan side is full of experience. We've still got a few months of FIFA 20 servers being online as well, so we can actually download the latest version of this team. This means we have 85 rated Ibrahimovic, 92 potential Donnarumma, and a fairly big budget to spend. While the squad is old, we do have a ton of potential too. We'll be developing Donnarumma as much as we can. Our goal is to get him to at least 92 overall by the end of this season. We'll also try and break a record, and we're going to be ambitious again because we have such a good goalkeeper. We're going to aim for the most clean sheets in one season. Tons of players have made it to 21, but no one has ever got 22 clean sheets. Before we can go for that though, I'll need to play in pre-season to see if it's even possible.
Here we are, today at Old Trafford. I'm Martin Tyler, with me is Alan Smith, trying to steer it through. And there it is, the goal!
FIFA 19 was a fun game, and from my first few matches it does seem like FIFA 20 was actually a big downgrade. Players are more clunky, passing is painfully slow now, and it seems like skill moves is probably the only way to quickly move around the field, just like it was on FIFA 18. Anyway, back to career mode. Tactics were a really big deal in this year's game. I spent all 3 games in pre-season trying to find out what worked best for our squad, even trying out last year's 3-4-3 formation, but I couldn't really get anything to work. Maybe some new signings will help us out instead. As always, I'll try and limit myself to the signings the club will actually make in the near future, and this summer we have 3 good signings coming in. Customizing the manager was also a big deal back on FIFA 20, so this is the clown that will be representing us this season. Fikayo Tomori uses quite a bit of our transfer budget. In real life he joined AC Milan a year later, but having some pace will definitely strengthen our defence. Because we're going for a defensive based record, let's also add Sandro Tonali and Diogo Dalot. I really remember I liked how Dalot felt on FIFA 20, so I hope that is still the case. Anyway, it's time for Serie A to begin, and it's a big game against Udinese first up. Because going for a defensive record is actually quite boring probably for you to watch, we'll also be trying to beat the record of the most goals scored from outside the box in a season. FIFA icon Roberto Baggio holds the record with 9, but we have Ibrahimovic and Çalhanoğlu, who both have a really good chance to beat that this season. Anyway, this 3 points was a great way to start the 2019-20 season. Milan, of course, went on to win the Serie A in 2021 in real life, but I think we have a serious chance of winning it here in 2020. Let's just hope there's no big distractions that'll stop the league or anything coming up in the next couple of months. The next day after I decided to load up FIFA 20, I realised my save had actually gone missing. I resimulated the first 2 months as best as I could, but if you notice any transfers or player overalls or anything like that changing, then most likely it's because of me having to resimulate these 2 months. Anyway, next up was one of our 12 or so clubs we consider rivals in this league, a game against Brescia, and we had Tonali, of course, who we bought off them. They had Mario Balotelli, who used to play for us up front, but we also had the battle of the 2 Donnarummas, course, theirs was a striker. I don't think they're related, and he would get the best of ours. So that was a clean sheet off the table already. After just a couple of games, we decided that maybe this long shot record is not going to get broken, so we probably shouldn't actually be trying them. So we went for more passing it into the box and just trying to score easy chances. But even then, the AI was on top of us. We couldn't get anything. Even Ibrahimovic, he hadn't scored a league goal yet, but Rafael Leao would secure the win with a nice tap-in into an open goal. Because this game happened on the last day of the transfer window, it's also a good time to have a look at some of the deranged transfers that the AI would make. I don't actually think the AI's got any better in this department over the past couple of years. It's something that I really hope EA Sports FC does fix and makes the AI actually make transfers that make some sense. Anyway, back into our games. Next up was a game against Verona, and you can see we're already in the 89th minute because that was really the only action that happened, and I wanted to skip forward so we could get into this massive match first. AC against Internazionale, our first proper big rivalry match, our first game against one of the really big teams in Italy as well. And I think we were probably going to find out in this match if we really could go for the title or if we were going to just settle for something like 4th place in the league. Ibrahimovic, of course, has a point to prove. He's a former Inter Milan striker, but it just seemed like we were getting a bit unlucky with the bounces. Even when it fell to Ibrahimovic, it would then fall away. His first touch wasn't good enough, and unfortunately for Paqueta, his first touch of the match was getting kneed in the head, which gave away a penalty, and Lukaku would score. I think we were really unlucky with that goal, but you'll see throughout this video that that's a theme of playing FIFA 20. You will just get unlucky. Inter Milan had 2 shots in that first half, the one that won them the penalty and the penalty itself. They would have another one early into the second half though. That's a much better goal. I don't mind conceding ones like that. That was just poor defending from me and a good finish from Alexis Sanchez. You can see here how hard it is to win the ball off the AI at times. Even though we'd injured a player, we were kind of taking advantage of that. Paqueta, Tonali linking up. Tonali really should have been shooting there, but a good tackle from the Inter Milan defence. Annoyingly, because we had to reset our save, we lost our formation and our tactics, so all of a sudden Kessié was our most attacking midfielder in this match. It took us about an hour to notice, so when we made some changes, we also brought on Rafael Leao. Ibrahimovic really isn't playing very well for us so far this season, but honestly neither is Leao. And when we talk about unlucky goals, this is the kind of thing I mean. Donnarumma just getting the ball booted out of his hands, and of course it would fall straight to Lukaku, who does a trademark Lukaku somersault. This was our last chance of the game from a corner. It could have gone in, but Handanovic ended the game with about 12 saves. Meanwhile, Donnarumma made actually 0. But in the other games, he's actually been pretty good. After 8 matches, he's got 6 clean sheets, so we're well on the way to getting the record. The problem is, we just can't score. We were heading to the capital of Italy, of course Rome, to play against Roma, and yet again, it was someone like Jordan Veretout, who has really low finishing, scoring an absolute banger with their first goal of the game. Ibrahimovic nearly scored a classic Ibrahimovic there, an overhead kick from the corner. It would have been sick if it had gone in, but unfortunately for us, we couldn't quite do it. That's the kind of finishing we were doing though. It wasn't even going out for a goal kick, it was going out for throw-ins. I can't get my head around how shooting worked on this game at all. If you've watched the FIFA 14 episode of this series, you'll remember how good Ibrahimovic was at heading back then, and nearly 10 years later, he's still got it, scoring as an equaliser against Roma. You can see the halftime stats again, one shot on target, and 1 goal from Roma. But look at this pass from Tonali, Paqueta one-on-one, and what is that finish? We've pressed finesse, we've aimed for the corner, and it's ended up going about 10 metres wide. Donnarumma keeps us in it, keeps us equal at 1-1, and there was one last chance for Roma, but thankfully for us, Romagnoli was more than capable of stopping it. So that was a tie, and honestly getting a bit better. We of course lost 3-0 in our first big game, 1-1 in our second big game, and I did notice something pretty funny in the press conference. We told them that we won, so hopefully we've kind of gaslighted ourselves into getting 3 points. Our next big match of the season was in January against fake Juventus Piemonte Calcio. We got off to a really good start here, Paqueta breaking into the box, and we won a penalty. With a really old Buffon in goal, you'd think if you went top corner, you'd basically be guaranteed to score, but Ibrahimovic found out that that isn't the case. Ronaldo would go down the wing, and Dybala's shot would be saved, but it would unfortunately just loop back into that near post, and we'd be 1-0 down and already have lost a clean sheet. Ronaldo would get the ball again out wide, and he would just smash it so hard Donnarumma could only save it into the goal, and that was of course their first 2 shots of the game. We'd get a chance here, but Tonali would waste it with a really bad first touch, and that would be half time. You can see right there how annoying of a match this must have been. We had to make sure we were going to score, so we pulled one back. Even Ibrahimovic can't miss that one. We'd get another chance, this time for an equaliser. Kyle Walker taking down Tejo Hernandez. Kessié would run up. We decided to switch sides running up just in case that would help us score, but again Buffon was ahead of it. Donnarumma was caught in absolutely no man's land there. Ronaldo would tap it into an open goal. And then this is how the game would end. Ronaldo flicking it on to Khedira, an unstoppable near post volley, and we were 4-1 down. Don't get me wrong, I'm not being negative on the game because I've just lost 4-1, but it is really the worst FIFA game I have ever played. Passing doesn't work. Players can only move very fast when they do skill moves, and while I do like using skill moves, you can see me using some right here to try and beat the men, it's not really that fun to do it constantly, and the AI is just so overpowered, and it seems like there's a lot of scripting going on in career mode. It just makes a really not very fun sort of experience playing this game. If you do have FIFA 20, check it out and see if you agree with me, but if you don't already have it, definitely don't go and buy this game because it's absolutely terrible. Anyway, against Parma, we go 1-0 up. A nice finish there from Ibrahimovic. Could this finally be a time for us to win another game? Well, again, a really bizarre finish right there. The perfect shot exactly in the top corner, and Parma have equalised. It seems like the AI actively doesn't want you to have fun. When you're doing a counter-attack, you will just get hacked down like that from Gervinho. And when you're through on goal, even with one of the best strikers of all time in Ibrahimovic, a 60-something rated goalkeeper will stop it almost every single time. Despite all my complaining about how bad this game is, we do actually have a really exciting last day. This is the table, and if we score 2 more goals than Inter Milan on this last game, even if we both win, we will finish second place. We also have our goalkeeper Antonio Donnarumma, who's now 90 rated. He needs 1 more clean sheet to get that record. So basically, we need to score a lot of goals and keep a clean sheet. So this is going to be an exciting final day of the season. We had a decent chance there, but we had the better chance just 20 minutes in. Ibrahimovic scoring against an open net. We were still trying to score long-range goals, but we just couldn't really pull them off on this year's game. We weren't good at finishing from inside the box either, don't get me wrong, but Bonaventura would be our best long-range shooter of the year. He scored 3 from outside the box, so nowhere near that other record we were potentially looking at. This was a bit of a suspicious decision right here. I don't know how we won a penalty, and even worse, it was a red card. So the strategy for the penalty was if we don't know where it's going, then the AI can't dive the right way, and we were thankfully very right, 2-0 up. We didn't know what the score was in the Inter Milan game until it popped up right here, 4-1. So this wasn't good. That means we need to get a 5-0 win, and we only have about 10 minutes of in-game time left. This was a great chance to get one of them though. Leao 1-on-1. Again, he can't finish. It fell to Rebic. AI did like 10 blocks of different shots and eventually it would roll out to Olsen. We did a few more long range shots, Tonali there, we got a corner, Kessié would head it in, but we still needed 2 goals in 5 minutes. Could we do it? Well, Kessié would have another chance here, he'd find Rebic, he couldn't get the shot away, that could have set up a really good finish. Our final chance of the season was right here, Rebic trying to get it through to Bonaventura, and the referee would blow their whistle. Unless there was a massive comeback in that Inter Milan game, we were going to finish second in the table. We skipped the interview and we confirmed that Atalanta had lost 4-1. What a season that was from Juventus, by the way. They ended up losing just 1 game, drawing 2 and winning 35 of their 38 games. Very soon I'll be putting a poll up on the community page asking for team suggestions for FIFA 21, where I know the game is a lot more fun. So make sure you think about those and let me know who you want me to use by commenting them below. But thank you for watching. Subscribe so you don't miss FIFA 21, 22, 23 and potentially also EA Sports FC coming out very soon. But thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Cheers and goodbye. I'm playing a season in every FIFA game from FIFA 14 all the way to FIFA 23, and today we're playing on FIFA 21. I knew exactly who I wanted to use for this episode. We're heading to the north of England, and we're going to try and fully rebuild Newcastle United by giving them a takeover a full season earlier than it happened in real life. We're doing something a little bit different in this episode as well. Instead of just signing players who were about to join the club, like we did in the past 7 games, this time we'll be fully rebuilding Newcastle with players who were linked to Newcastle, players who used to play for Newcastle, Newcastle and players who actually would go on to play for Newcastle. Hopefully by the end of August, we can have a squad that's ready to compete for European football. So what record are we going to try and break this time? Well, the last time Newcastle United won proper silverware, Richard Nixon was still president in America, the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia both played in the most recent Euros international tournament, and nobody had walked on the moon. That's enough of a target. We're just going to try and break Newcastle's trophy drought in today's episode. Our first task is to force out some of the worst players of the Mike Ashley era. John Joe Shelby is the first to be transfer listed, Henri Savet is somehow still at the club, and finally a bunch of young players are going to be listed for loan. Now it's time to strengthen. The first signing was pretty obvious to me. We need a midfield playmaker and a tackler, and in comes Bruno Guimaraes. Ideally we'd be playing 3 up front as well, so Alex Isak will join the club. Dele Alli is firmly on the way down in his career at this point, but he was linked to Newcastle loads this season in real life, so let's see if we can reignite his career. Trippier will also join. He did this in real life very soon to this video. Kieran Tierney was another player that nearly joined Newcastle just a few days before I made this video, so let's grab him as well. Okay, that's enough signings for now. Let's have a look at the difference it's made to our team. The Premier League's also about to start, but I think deep down we know this team probably isn't good enough for a title. Instead, we'll mainly be focusing on the 2 domestic cups, the Carabao and of course the FA Cup. Our season got off to a good start, Allan Saint-Maximin proving how tricky he could be, before Bruno Guimaraes nearly scored one of the goals of the season from the edge of the box, so that was a win on our first game of the season. Next up was Liverpool, and this is back in the era where Liverpool were the best team in the league on FIFA. Of course, Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah and Roberto Firmino, we're playing with competitor mode on, so all of them are just doing crazy dribbles and it's almost impossible to actually tackle them. It doesn't matter though, because Almiron would burst down the right, beat the defence and smash it into the corner. Man, just looking back at some of these clips just reminds me of how fun it was to actually play FIFA 21. Long shots were kind of overpowered again, just like FIFA 19. The players could move around the pitch, and even though the AI was still just as overpowered as it was on FIFA 20, where it would have 2 or 3 shots and they would just laser into the corner like that, it was actually just a really fun experience to play this game again. Anyway, we went on to lose to Liverpool and we were going to try and bounce back. We're at home against Arsenal and we have a ton of former Arsenal players in our squad. Willock and Tierney both desperate to impress in this game. Anyway, we had 2 early chances and both of them we got kind of unlucky with. This ricochet fest right here was a bit like a pinball machine, somehow didn't end up in the net, but thankfully Chris Willock would be one-on-one and he would find that net. We'd already learned from our mistakes against Liverpool. We're not going to try and hold on and keep this 1-0. We're going to go for more goals. Almiron would beat Leno, and that would be 2-0 just before half time. You always hear commentators say that's the best time to score or the worst time to concede, because usually it'll mean you go on to score a few more in the second half. Well, we really should have had a chance there, but that was a terrible first touch from Willock. Bruno Guimaraes, you can see how Arsenal have pushed all their men forward, found Isak, and that was 3-0 after 62 minutes. Out of all the players that we signed, and even the ones that were already at the club, I don't think any of them were as fun to use as Alexander Isak. His height, his pace, his finishing, and weirdly his agility and skill moves, they were all absolutely amazing. While Maximin was probably faster and better at skills, there was just something a bit more fun about using Alexander Isak. You saw some of his technique right there, scoring a nice overhead kick. And with just a few minutes left in the game, we had someone through the middle. It was Callum Wilson. He would tap it straight past Leno. We'd bounce back from a loss against Liverpool by destroying Arsenal 5-1. That meant we had 6 points from our first 3 games, and it was already time for the Carabao Cup to start. This is really the one we're focusing on. The FA Cup's too far away and the Premier League's going to be too difficult, but the Carabao Cup really could be for us. We scored 2 really nice goals. This Dele Alli goal, absolutely amazing. I love the way it bounces off the crossbar and goes in. I think we were now only 5 games away from the final, so this really could be our season. So it was also deadline day, and look at some of the signings these other AI teams have made. I like Grealish going to Man City. That was something the AI just decided to do. Ours, of course, absolutely insane. We spent 172 million, but no one was more expensive than Harry Kane going to Real Madrid. It was a signing that really could have happened in real life this summer. But as we sold Henri Savet, we also signed Matt Ritchie. It was time to re-sign someone I really enjoyed playing for Newcastle. Hatem Ben Arfa is a magpie. He's only probably going to play in some cup games here and there, but 5-star skills. Hopefully he's just as fun as he used to be on the game. He's not playing in this game against Fulham, where we went 1-0 down just before half time, and this was probably one of the biggest proofs that AI is so random when it comes to difficulty on FIFA 21. We just beaten Arsenal 5-0, and it looked like we were getting absolutely destroyed by Josh Meyer. So this guy is about 72 rated. He's going to score 4 now, and with a couple of minutes left, he's going to also score a 5th goal. In this game, Fulham had 6 shots, Josh Meyer had 5 shots, and Josh Meyer got 5 goals. I'm not going to complain too much though, because our defending was really bad in that match, and we definitely have to step up our defending in our next match, which was in the Carabao Cup 3rd round against Liverpool, a team that already beaten us, so we knew just how tough this game was going to be. In fact, Liverpool got a chance super early on, but Dubravka was there with a great save of Firmino. Almiron would go around Alisson, he'd try and chip it up to Isak, but Virgil would leap highest and he would just head that out. Maximan would go on a nice dribble and then he would slot one past Alisson. 30 minutes gone and we were already 1-0 up, and it got a little bit better just before half time. Isak passing it to Dele Alli, he would smash it past Alisson and 2-0 up. But then Liverpool would go full Barcelona, 4 one-touch passes, and Mane was in an open goal. He's never going to miss that. They had another chance, this time Mane jumping highest from a corner, a goal that Stoke would have been proud after a goal that Barcelona would have been proud of. We nearly made a massive mistake here with Tierney, but he just about rescued the situation, and the ball would end up falling to Callum Wilson one-on-one. He's got to be finishing that against Nat Phillips. You'd imagine he's got a bit more pace. However, he does finish that, a much harder finish, but what a finish it was. The game would end 3-2, and we were through into the 4th round. So after facing Brighton, Premier League Brighton in the 2nd round, after facing Premier League Liverpool in the 3rd round, we were now playing against Premier League West Bromwich Albion in the 4th round. They had a crazy team. I didn't realise they had Maitland-Niles and Conor Gallagher at the same time. That midfield was actually quite tough to play against. That was a totally unnecessary skill move there from Alan Saint-Maximin, but I really can't resist. When I've got him with the ball, I just want to do skill moves, you know. There's something so fun about his pace, his agility, his 5-star skills. He's just a really fun player to use on FIFA 21. Anyway, West Brom would get an equaliser. We'd put a cross in. It would actually fall to Saint-Maximin instead of Andy Carroll, so Andy Carroll would have to wait a few more minutes to get his first Newcastle goal for a long time. He would tell the crowd it's time for you to calm down because Newcastle are through into the 5th round. Back into the Premier League though, things were going pretty well. We did lose this game against Tottenham, that was such a good goal we just conceded right there. Alan Saint-Maximin would keep cutting in from the wings, trying to score montage-worthy goals from someone like FIFA Rally, and even though we did get the 3 points in this game, there was also some bad news. Callum Wilson was playing up front for us now because Alexander Isak had actually got a pretty bad injury. He was going to be out for 2 months, so that meant we had to use Callum Wilson in all the Premier League games because he's the better striker, but we would use Andy Carroll exclusively as our cup striker. He did miss a chance right there, he just let the ball go straight through his legs, and this is of course the 5th round game against Chelsea. Bruno Guimaraes would turn, he would find Hatem Ben Arfa, who again was playing in the middle because Arsenal have decided to revoke Chris Willock's loan for us not playing him, despite him playing in most of the games this season. Look at this hold-up play here from Andy Carroll. He knew what he was doing. Hurt Zuma couldn't even get near the ball, and Guimaraes was through on goal. Oh, he's really got to be beating Mendy right there. Mendy's not even that highly rated on this game. Chelsea would have an attack. It was really bad defending, and Pulisic would smash it past. Of course, former player Pulisic from our time managing Dortmund. Timo Werner would also score a rare Chelsea goal, so he'd put them 2-1 up. There was 3 goals within 30 minutes, so this was a really amazing match really. Almiron had a chance before half time, he would make it 2-2, so that meant we just needed a single goal in this second half. Bruno Guimaraes would get through on goal, and he would finally beat Mendy. He probably should have done it earlier in the game, and now we were going to try and sit on this win. We were going to defend for all we could. Jeff Hendrick had been brought on in midfield, and Andy Carroll had a chance to finish the game. He does one of the slowest skill moves of all time, then the fastest touch. Oh, that would have been montage worthy there from Andy Carroll, but unfortunately for us, it would be 3-2. Could we just hold on these last few seconds? Wout Weghorst had come on for Chelsea. Can he play it through? He can't. Lewis is there, and that would mean we were through into the next round of the Cup, which was the semi-final against Leicester City. Leicester, of course, being the place where I live in real life, and also the team that we managed for 2 seasons earlier in this series. Our team was nowhere near as good as it is now, though. Of course, we did sign Maddison and Tielemans for them, but we definitely didn't sign Alaba. We definitely didn't sign Giene at the back. Christian Fuchs is now playing right centre-back, so we had a really good chance. And this was actually the first game where Alex Isak was fit enough to come on the bench. Could he make a difference as a substitute? He's made a massive difference as a starting player throughout this season. This is the problem with playing against Leicester City. They have 3 or 4 players that do dribbling like this. Like, they're just trying to win a penalty. They want you to try and dive in, and all they end up doing in the end is running off the pitch. When Carrera stops practicing his skill moves, he is actually really good at football. He chips our goalkeeper right here, puts Leicester 1-0 up, but this is a 2-legged tie. No matter the result, we're heading to Leicester in just a few days. Look how annoying this is, by the way. Through on goal. We get taken out right there. Wilson totally put on the floor. Not even a foul. Anyway, we had to go and buy Chris Willock. He was too good in our midfield and the loan had expired, so we just went and paid a decent amount of money to sign him full-time from Arsenal. This was exciting. Alexander Isak, he's returned from injury, he's back on the pitch and he's ready. He'd get on the ball straight away. He'd play through Andy Carroll, but Carroll was more interested in barging Alaba out of the way rather than shooting. Carroll would get another chance in front of his home fans, and that would be it. That could potentially be the winner with just 5 minutes to go. The Newcastle fan has scored in front of the Newcastle fans, and that could even be the goal that takes us through into the final. We just have to hold on now. The game should have ended. We've played more than extra time, and Carrera has managed to score 1 minute after the game should have ended. Leicester have got their own dramatic equaliser, and that's how the game would finish. We were now heading to Leicester. We were in the Midlands. Maximan would go round 2. He'd go around the goalkeeper and he'd think he's been taken out. He has. That's going to be a penalty. So this is a great start for Newcastle. Dele Alli converts and we're 3-2 up on aggregate. Awesome start. Great penalty there from Dele Alli. And what a run it was from Maximan to beat those 3 players. Tierney would get on the ball. He's got Maximan. He's absolutely destroying Daniel Amati down the right. Passes it through to Dele Alli, I think. And what a shot that is. Dele Alli's on fire. Maximan is on fire. And it looks like Kasper Schmeichel might also be on fire. Callum Wilson gets the ball. He's got Dele Alli again. Can he beat Daniel Amati? He just needs a little bit more pace. Cuts back inside. Does a trick. And that's off the post. There's this really cool thing in FIFA 21 I've noticed where the more you learn about a player, the better you can play with them. That's absolutely the case with me and Dele Alli. But it looks like it's also the case with the AI and James Maddison. He's dribbled around 2 or 3 players. That's Leicester's only shot of the half. And it's the equaliser. Can we keep pushing on? Because clearly we are the dominant team in this game. Maximan gets another chance. Another chance. So Michael just about keeps it out. This is turning into such a cool game. Bruno Guimaraes, he finds Jeff Hendrick, and I think that's his first and possibly only goal of the season right there. Of course, a player from the Midlands. He used to play for Derby County, so maybe he feels at home playing in Leicester. But can Andy Carroll finish the game off? Oh, not quite. Schmeichel is just about able to stop it, but that means one thing. We're through into the final. Who are we going to be playing? The other leg was Burnley against Manchester City, and I think you can all guess which team we're going to be playing. It's going to be Manchester City, who have won 5-2 on aggregate, so they've got goals in them, but we've won 4-3 on aggregate, so we've got goals in us as well. I think Man City's danger man is a tall, blonde striker who used to play from Dortmund, and it's not Erling Haaland. Of course, it's Ciro Immobile. Andy Carroll has finally been booted out. It's time for Alexander Isak to lead Newcastle, hopefully, to their first trophy since the 1960s. So the game is officially underway now. An early chance here for Manchester City after 2 minutes. Corner comes in from De Bruyne, but Dubravka heads it away, and it's good block there from Lascelles. I think the first 10 minutes was actually a lot more even than I was expecting. We got this good chance here. Isak turned his man, but Ederson is a much better goalkeeper than Dubravka. It's going to stay 0-0. There was this chance here. Grealish would play it through to Immobile, and that would be 1-0. A gutting goal to concede. We do have pretty slow defenders, but it hasn't really hurt us until right there. Isak would get a chance, but Laporte was more than good enough to stop that one. Ali would win it back, and Joe Linton would be ambitious. Yeah, I think about now is the time we wish Joe Hart or Claudio Bravo was in goal instead of Ederson. Immobile would see that Dubravka would come off his line. It was a nice chip, and all of a sudden we were looking like we were going down without a trace. Dele Alli, though, into the box would give us a lifeline. Half an hour gone, 2-1. We did have a chance in this game still. We've just proven we can score actually quite easily against Manchester City. And all of a sudden, Almiron is through on goal. He scored several from there throughout the season, but Phil Foden tracks back and blocks the shot. Ferran Torres gets into the box, and he's absolutely done me there with that trick. That was amazing from the AI. That's like something Division 1 of Ultimate Team would have done, and it's 3-1 to Manchester City. We still have chances though, still half a game to go. Almiron, again, really should be scoring that. He scored several from that area in the rest of the season, but that will be half time. Going in 3-1 down, It's not the end of the world. Manchester City there, you can see 5 shots, 5 on target, 3 goals. They're in one of those moods that the AI can get into. I believe in us to do a comeback. Well, I did until Fernandinho scored this one to make it 4-1 just before the hour mark. Isaac there fluffed the chance. Really, he should be shooting, but it just got stuck under his feet and Manchester City would defend. I thought we were through here. That could have been 4-2. The game's still on if we score there, but it's possibly the closest offside I've ever seen on FIFA. Man City would keep attacking. This is pure pet ball right here. The lap would come off the bench. He looks a bit like Haaland, and he does a very Haaland-like shot there. Fernandinho would secure a central defensive midfield hat-trick. And with the game in stoppage time, Mahrez absolutely kills it off, 7-1. My head is firmly in my hands. I can't believe what I've just done. We've been absolutely tongued by Manchester City in this final. It's pure pet ball, like we said earlier. His passing was amazing. All of their shooting, if it was on target, Dubravka just didn't have a chance. Bruno Guimaraes couldn't win the ball back. You can see how disappointed he was right there. And even though they were actually kind of easier than Leicester City to play against, we absolutely collapsed and we really did deserve to lose that final. We still had some Premier League games to go. Of course, we were potentially going to be in the Champions League with Newcastle, which was a massive improvement of what they did in real life. And while we watched the final match of the season here against Burnley, let's just reflect on some of the coolest things that are in FIFA 21 that I haven't really seen in FIFA 22 or FIFA 23. So the squad building is actually pretty interesting. You can see right here, you might have noticed Burnley have Olivier Giroud and Chris Wood up front. That is the most Burnley front two I think I've ever seen. Harry Kane going to Real Madrid, Jack Grealish going to Man City. I just feel like the AI was slightly better at that kind of stuff back then. Anyway, have a think about who you'd like me to use for FIFA 22, because I'll make that episode over the next week, and hopefully we can get them both out before EA Sports FC comes out. So if you enjoy this kind of content and you want to see more FIFA content very soon, please press subscribe and like this video, and thank you all for watching. Cheers and goodbye. I'm playing a season in every career mode from FIFA 14 all the way to FIFA 23, and today it's time for FIFA 22. This is the game I've been looking forward to the most by far, as I've been planning to play as Nottingham Forest manager since we started this series. We'll be leaving Newcastle and we'll be moving to the East Midlands. So why would I be so excited to play as Nottingham Forest? Well, you probably won't be able to tell from just looking at the squad. To me, this squad is so full of memories, and hopefully by the end of the first season, I can convince you to also love the likes of Jed Spence, Brennan Johnson, James Garner and Ryan Yates. Anyway, our first task is to force out some of the worst players that Forest have ever had. Harry Art is the first to be transfer listed, Gaetan Bong is straight up released, and we have a bunch of young players who've been listed to go out on loan. Hopefully by the end of August, we can have a squad that's ready to compete at the top of the championship. While we try and wake this sleeping giant, we'll also be following the same rules as always. We'll try and break 2 records today, we'll sign realistic players, and we'll try and match history, which in this case means promotion to the Premier League. So let's talk about the 2 records we'll be trying to break. The first has stood for almost 100 years. Port Vale would keep 30 clean sheets in a single season. The second is way more attacking. As of July 2021, when the season starts, our striker Lewis Graben is just 23 goals away from having the most goals in this league ever. So we're definitely going to be attempting to get him to cross the line before he retires. Okay, before we start the season, let's make a transfer. We have a decent amount of budget, so let's fast forward history by signing Nico Williams a year earlier than it happened in real life. We need a left back, and I really like Nico. I've also not played FIFA 22 for over 12 months now, so I'll absolutely have to check out how he and the entire team feels in pre-season.
And welcome to the East Midlands of England. We find ourselves in the city of Nottingham. Oh, a goal! And is that going to be the one that wins it for them?
If you're interested in this kind of stuff, we're using the FIFA 22 mod for this playthrough as we're back on PC, so that's why things might look a little bit different to how you remember them. So while the season starts, let's have a quick talk about FIFA 22. The first game against Coventry was quite eye-opening actually. I don't remember the game being so difficult on Legendary. Halfway through the game, I copied the sliders I was using last year, and it did make the game feel a little bit better. But even sliders couldn't save this game against Bournemouth. I've never seen an AI be so possession heavy ever on FIFA. At half time we were 1-0 down, but we'd also only had 15% of the possession. It might sound like I'm complaining about this, but I promise you I'm not. I do wish teams in FIFA had different playing styles, and hopefully this is something we will see more as we go into FIFA 23 and eventually EA Sports FC in this series. Anyway, we got back into the game with our only shot, which meant we were still unbeaten from our first 2 games, doing a lot better than Forest were doing at this point in real life. If you didn't pay attention to the Championship in 2021, you might not know that Forest only had 1 point from their first 8 games. We're doing a lot better than that after our first 8 games, but we still haven't actually scored a goal with Lewis Graben. That 23 goals is looking like it could be very, very difficult for us to achieve. Until this game against Peterborough, where Lewis Graben finally got his first goal for Forest this season, just 22 more to go. We'd go on to absolutely destroy Peterborough, and this would actually turn out to be the start of a really good period of form for Nottingham Forest. Lewis Graben was scoring pretty regularly, even if they were kind of unconventional goals, and it was a good job we did sign Nico Williams, because finally we had a spot for him on the right. While he wasn't actually even in our squad for this game, he would be playing right wing back for the next couple of games, and he put in some decent performances too, but I think he's more of one for the future. Jed Spencer's just way better on FIFA. Another goal there for Lewis Graben. He'd get a second by smashing the ball through the goalkeeper right here. I'm not sure why he doesn't have a real face in the FIFA 22 mod. He does have one in the base game, but I guess they've replaced his face with someone else like Jed Spence or Brennan Johnson. Graben has barely any pace, which is why it's actually quite hard to score some goals with him, but his dribbling is actually really good. That's kind of authentic to how he played in real life as well. We nearly got a hat-trick there. We tried to go around Reading southward. We're not actually going to play Lewis Graben in the next game because we need Keelan Davies or Sam Surridge because of how important it is to our season. It's time for the East Midlands derby.
Well, often we talk about the tactics, the individual players that are missing, but so often it's the mentality of the players that is key to winning any football game. Which of these teams has the right attitude today is the big question.
Well, I think Stuart Robson's question was answered pretty early on. Brennan Johnson had the right attitude for a derby match. He scored home and away against Derby in real life as well, so he's definitely up for this one. Derby would get a corner. Joe Worrell would try and jump, but Forsyth, Derby's longest serving player, would head it home and make it 1-1. I remember last time I played as Forest, Zinkernagel was absolutely unreal, unstoppable to play against, and it was proven the case again right here. What a dribble that was, just going straight around the goalkeeper and slotting it in after the rebound. Zinkernagel getting the ball again, doing his same trick. This time he'd pass it to Graben. Zinkernagel would have the ball in the box, and there's no stopping that. 3-1 up just before half-time. Straight from the kickoff though, we were hunting, and Graben would intercept it. He'd have Brennan Johnson running through the middle. He'd find him. Surely he'll score here? He does. I'll let you into a little secret that's currently only known by Forest and Derby fans. We all have an obsession with the number 5. The A52 is the road that goes between the two cities. Forest would beat Derby 5-2, and a few years later, Derby would beat Forest 5-0. Scoring 5 is probably even better than scoring 6, and Jed Spence has just secured a 5-1 lead for us here. With such an iconic scoreline, surely we're not going for 6. Well, of course we are. Zinkernagel having a chance save. Derby would have a few chances of their own, but this mistake here from James Garner would be the final goal of the game. Colin Kazim Richards, if you remember him, would score, make it 5-2, so a repeat of that famous game from 12 years ago. Things were going really well on the pitch, but off the pitch was a total different matter. In the table we're doing really well, but the Forest board are absolutely not happy we haven't signed any youth academy players, and they're about to fire us. Thankfully we had a scout already, we sent him out, we signed 3 players, we already had a couple of other players in our academy, including this guy, who actually had 3 traits, which I don't think I've ever seen before, and that just about recovered the situation. With just 2 games of the season left, we had to get 1 more point than West Brom if we wanted automatic promotion, and it's a game against Swansea, who are not only doing really well, but also have quite a lot of history with Nottingham Forest. They were both in League 1 together fighting for the title, they were both in a playoff semi-final a couple of years later in the Championship together, and they've had a lot of players moving between each other and a lot of managers moving between each other as well. Thankfully though, we managed to beat Swansea on this occasion, and the results came in. West Bromwich Albion had lost. That meant we were 3 points ahead. We just needed a single point from our final game of the season.
And welcome to a game that really should have pulses racing. And I'll tell you what, the visiting fans are wondering, is today the day when they clinch promotion?
I'll tell you what, Derek Gray, I didn't think today was going to be our day when Eves decided to dribble through our entire defence after a corner and put Hull 1-0 up. Of course, we did only need the single point. A win would be amazing, but a single point would be good enough. Thankfully, Brennan Johnson would secure an equaliser just 3 minutes later. Our homegrown academy prospect with 90-something pace is just way too fast for a team like Hull to defend against. We still needed 3 or 4 goals with Lewis Graben to make him the all-time top scorer in the Championship, so it looked like that wasn't really happening as we got into the second half. In fact, we actually decided we were going to hold on for a draw here. A single point, more than good enough, and I think we've got the players to defend against Hull. Cafu did nearly get a goal here, and this final clip of the match I don't think I can actually commentate over. I just can't justify what the hell even happened. A goal kick from an absolute nothing long range shot would hit the defender straight in the chest and just bounce into the goal. I've never seen a goal like this before on FIFA. I've never seen a goal like this before in real life. But honestly, I don't really care because the referee's going to blow his whistle. We have done it. It took absolutely insane circumstances to happen, but we closed a 9-point gap in the last 10 games. We don't care how it happened. The fans don't care how it happened, and the players don't care how it happened. We got promoted to the Premier League, and if the board decides to keep us on at the end of this season, we will also be managing Forest next year in the Premier League. So let's fast forward to that little email and see if we have actually been fired. We still had a really low manager rating, but this is the day. Were we going to be managing Forest next year, or were we going to just be picking another club by a poll? I've fully reset the Forest squad to how it was before they spent £200 million on 30 players, and instead we'll be using this money to fully rebuild the newly promoted side. This gives us a chance to avoid some of the players that weren't so great like Jonjo Shelvey and Jesse Lingard, while maybe going for some of the bigger names that were actually linked to Forest last year. The whole thing will be done as realistically as possible, so let's get squad building. In goal, player final hero Brice Samba has already left for Lyon, so we'll need at least 2 new goalkeepers. At fullback we have Nico Williams, who signed before the cutoff I've used for this series, and on the left we'll have Jack Colback. We'll need at least 3 new fullbacks in my opinion. Centre-back depth is slightly better. Worrell and McKenna are borderline good enough for the Premier League, but I do think we'll probably sign at least 3 new centre-backs as well. Ryan Yates will remain in centre midfield, Sam Surridge can be a backup attacker, and Brennan Johnson will be starting the majority of our games on the right wing. So I think we still need about 15 to 20 new players, so let's start bringing them in. Morgan Gibbs-White was of course an obvious first signing, as was Taiwo Awoniyi to be the second man in. Of course these two both play for Forest in real life, so it was very hard to resist signing them into this team. I want to play a 4-2-3-1 this year, so we'll need someone for the left wing to go opposite Brennan Johnson. Callum Hudson-Odoi is so realistic that he's actually signed for Nottingham Forest since I wrote this script, which was a pretty cool coincidence. Moving forward to midfield, we'll also need a big destroyer who can actually pass the ball forward. I couldn't decide if I wanted to go with Sangare or Yusuf Fofana, but we're going to go with Fofana, and we're also going to sign Julian Weigl from Mönchengladbach and Seville's Oliver Torres, who's more of a playmaker, to join Ryan Yates as midfield options. Fullback Gonzalo Montiel would also join from Seville and play on the right, while our Greek owners suggest that Tsimikas could play on the left. Atletico's Felipe, Stuttgart's Mavropanos, and Davinson Sanchez, of course, at Tottenham Hotspur will also join McKenna and Worrell at the back, while finally in goal, we have just about enough pull to tempt Kasper Schmeichel back to England for one last season. So this was actually a surprisingly cheap spending spree. With some of our spare cash, we decided to do something a little bit crazy. I didn't think we were going to be able to do it, but somehow we pulled off signing Jadon Sancho on loan, while Emile Smith-Rowe will also agree a short-term 6-month loan. With about half of that England under-17s World Cup winning team now at Forest, we have the chemistry, potential and pace for a really good finish this season. So let's get on with the season and see if it can all come together. Straight away, it's super clear who our key players are. Fofana is almost unbeatable due to his size and strength. Joe Worrell's passion for the badge has elevated his performances to be in the first team of the month, while Jadon Sancho is playing like the man we had back in FIFA 17. Towards the end of the window, there were a few players I realised I liked too much to actually avoid bringing them in. So Gustavo Scarpa, Danilo, Serge Aurier and Moussa Niakite will all join to probably be backups, and they all of course currently play for Nottingham Forest as well. So now we have a really good team. We can pick a team of players who have at least 80 pace, we can pick a team of players who have at least 82 potential, and hopefully we can also pick a team who can get Forest to finish in the top half this season. That's definitely the goal for this year in the Premier League. So let's compare our rebuilt squad to the actual squad. We're definitely stronger in attack, we're better in midfield, we have a higher quality defence, and our goalkeeper isn't actually that much worse than Keylor Navas. It wasn't just our signings off the pitch that were good, our performances on the pitch were decent too. We went 6 games unbeaten, beating West Ham, Spurs, Bournemouth and Everton, while we also got surprise draws against Chelsea and Manchester United. This was the perfect spell of form, and it moved us from 18th all the way up to 12th in the table. We now had our toughest match of the season. Playing against Manchester City is always going to be hard, but when they're unbeaten after 15 games, having won 14 of them, it's going to be even harder. Haaland had already scored 22 goals, so we needed to defend him super urgently. Thankfully, Schmeichel stopped his penalty, and that meant Awoniyi's overhead kick would be the winner, and we had beaten Man City and ended their unbeaten streak. This team is actually insane. I love every single player in it, and I recommend that you sign all of these guys in your career modes. Callum Hudson-Odoi might seem a little bit underrated, but he's actually so good on the ball. Jadon Sancho is getting a lot of hate in real life at the minute, but again, he's so good inside FIFA. You can definitely try and rebuild these two careers in basically any save, and it would probably be quite realistic, so definitely check them out. Anyway, back to career mode. As we're probably only going to be able to finish mid-table in the Premier League, the Carabao Cup was our best chance of glory. Well, that was until we were drawn against Manchester City. While it is a home leg and Forest are notoriously quite good playing at home, they got off to a really good start. But so did we. Within the first 10 minutes, we found Gonzalo Montiel, our right back, through the middle. He was unselfish, passed it to Brennan Johnson, and all of a sudden we were randomly 1-0 up. We probably didn't deserve to be ahead. Even though it was only 9 minutes in, Man City had already hit the post twice. They had another chance here. Bernardo played through by Haaland, but he was so slightly offside, thankfully for Nottingham Forest. Bernardo and Haaland would link up really well again, and there's no way this one's offside. That's an equaliser there from Bernardo Silva. Are we about to go out of the Carabao Cup to Manchester City? Well, in the second half, we turned things up a notch. Callum Hudson-Odoi and Morgan Gibbs-White had such a good link-up. His one-on-one was finished, and all of a sudden, Forest were back ahead yet again. We actually played our reserve team basically here. Players like Danilo, who absolutely turned up. I mean, look at this. He's dribbled around 2 Man City defenders, but then look at this defending from Manchester City. I don't know why this keeps happening. They're leaving 2 men in the middle, but unfortunately, we couldn't quite make the most of it right here. Like I said, this was the reserves, and some of our first team players were coming on now. Smith Rowe, Sancho, and Ryan Yates all came on, and Yates' first interaction with the ball was getting absolutely smashed by Rodri. With just 10 minutes left, Sancho would find Yates, Yates would beat Ederson, but just like Bernardo in the first half of Man City, he was marginally offside. We'd get another chance on the counter-attack right here. This time it was Smith Rowe to Gibbs-White, and Gibbs-White would finish his second shot with a second goal. He salutes to Trent End, and Forest looked like they could be going through to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Man City would have one final chance, and of course you would always expect someone like Kevin De Bruyne to score a goal like that. Thankfully for us though, the game was basically over, the referee would blow his whistle, and we were through to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. There were some really bad teams still in this draw, so if we got one of them, the final was not off the table. Unfortunately for us though, we were drawn against Manchester United, and the first leg was actually pretty boring despite it being 1-1. The second leg wasn't actually that much better. This was probably our best chance of the game. Fofana and Yates linking up well, and Fofana should at least be hitting the target from there. We also had this chance here, Hudson-Odoi dribbling into the box, giving it to Awoniyi, and his 2 shots were just blocked by the Manchester United defence, but that meant this game was going to penalties, with a place in the final for the winner. We got off to a great start there, Hennessy saving Sabitzer's penalty, David De Gea stopping Awoniyi, next up was Johnson, and he'd also be stopped by David De Gea, and finally Fofana would step up and be stopped by David De Gea. 3 saves in a row. You can't deny that Manchester United did deserve to go through to the final with a performance like that from David De Gea. Look at that. He's silencing the haters. But I guess we can wheel out that old cliche that now we are just focusing on the league. We did alright in the FA Cup as well. We got to the semi-finals before we lost to Manchester United yet again. All our attention was now going on the Premier League. With just 2 games left in the season, we actually had a chance of finishing the European spots with Nottingham Forest. That would be absolutely incredible. The last time Forest played in Europe, I wasn't even born. It was 1995, and they lost 5-1 in the quarter-final of the UEFA Cup to Bayern Munich, who would go on to win the whole tournament. Really, we'd need to win both our games, so playing against Brighton away is always going to be tough. Danny Welbeck scoring an absolute screamer there, and he really should have made a second one there. We should be 2-0 down, but we're still in this game. Fofana will find Callum Hudson-Odoi. Johnson with the header, but it's cleared off the line by Brighton. So coming down to this free kick, if we can score here, we've got a chance of taking it into our last game. We took a long shot with Ryan Yates. I'm still not too sure why we did that, but that was our last chance. We had fallen to a 1-0 loss. That meant it was basically impossible for us to overcome Newcastle. We ended up finishing 9th on goal difference, which is a pretty decent result. We did say top half was our real goal here, but I'm a little bit gutted we didn't get that European football. Why would I be excited to play as Forest again on FC24? Well, just take a look at our team. It's so much better than last year. We've got all of their players from last season. Gibbs-White, Awoniyi, Danilo, they all got upgraded. But throw in Sangare, Dominguez, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, and you can see why I'm excited to play this season. This year it's all about strengthening our defence. McKenna and Worrell would both bleed for Forest, and as much as I love them in real life, they're not quite good enough on FIFA. Before we sign anyone though, let's actually finally talk about which record we'll be breaking in our final season. This season we're trying to break the record for the most goals in consecutive games. One year made it to 8 last month, and we'll need to beat Jamie Vardy's 11 goals from 2016 if we want to get this record. Pre-season started before we could even decide on any signings, so we actually played the first 2 games before we even signed anyone.
And we have more live action from the pre-season second group stage. It's Rayo Vallecano, and they face Nottingham Forest.
Personally, I'm loving FC 24. The more I learn about how to defend, the better the game feels against both the AI and also online. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me. But anyway, after pre-season ended, we splurged most of our £30 million budget on Levi Colwill. If you don't know, his own goal was the one that got Forest promoted in the playoff final 2 years ago, and I couldn't believe how low his release clause was. For the whole season, we're also going to be spamming as much development into Murillo and Omar Bamidele as possible as well, just to make sure that we have some backups. Anyway, pre-season is now over, we've got our signings, it's time to start the Premier League season.
Premier League season only moments away, but which team will stamp their authority today? We will soon find out.
So yeah, our first game of the season was indeed against Arsenal. This was always going to be a challenge. Of course, Arsenal runners-up in the league last year. But have a look at this from Dominguez. We brought him in for Ryan Yates because he has a bit more technical ability. And this shot proved exactly why we've picked him. Who knows, maybe Arteta will even swap his goalkeepers at half-time. But we kept pressing onwards. Alanga with the trickery found a 1-year. And that could easily have been 2-0. We tried to defend our lead, and Odegaard would find Trossard, and his chip pass would find Gabriel Jesus, who would just about beat the on-rushing Matt Turner, of course a former Arsenal player. We had a couple more minutes left in the game. Really, the referee should have blown his whistle, but Hudson-Odoi's shot was palmed out for a corner. Could we do it from this last corner? Well, Gibbs-White would get the ball in, we would win the header, we would win the rebound, but the ball wouldn't end up in the net. That meant 1 game and 1 point. This year we're going for a top half finish in the Premier League and trying to get to a final at least in one of the cups. How can Forest hope to get to a cup final, you might ask? Well, last year we made the League Cup semi-final, and we're more than happy to rest players in the league just to focus on the cups. Hey, look at this, the new Premier League scoreboards, that's pretty nice, but shame they don't actually look anything like the ones that are on TV. Anyway, we've now played 2 Premier League games, so it's time for the League Cup to actually admit us in. The first round was pretty simple, our reserves basically took the win by themselves. The second round was also quite easy as well, so we're now just 5 wins away from the final. Okay, back to the league. This now brings us to October, and a 1-year is on 3 goals in 3 games. This is actually our best run of the season. We're trying to score 11 goals, but with who? Alanga, that's right, a 1-year's run would actually end in this game, and Alanga would only be starting his. The streak started right here, Alanga beating the Brentford goalkeeper Flecken with a nice finish into the bottom corner, of course celebrating with his trademark griddy. It wouldn't be the only goal we scored against Brentford though, Ola Aina would also score, and it was quite an important game against a mid-table rival. We got through one-on-one here with Alanga, and there's no way we're missing a chance like that. Straight into the top corner, and there's nothing Sam Johnston can do. Of course, the record we're going for, it doesn't really matter how many you score in one game, as long as you get at least 1. If you're wondering why all of a sudden Alanga became a goal-scoring legend, it's because we made these changes to his position, so definitely give them a go if you have FC 24. You might have noticed throughout this video, I did have a bit of an obsession with long shots with this team. That was a good one there from Callum Hudson-Odoi that did nearly find the back of the net. It was actually quite tough for us to get Alanga in behind in this game. We got Gibbs-White in behind right here, one-on-one with the Luton Town goalkeeper, and he would find the net, thankfully, as you would expect. But we needed Gibbs-White to be the creator in this next chance. A very tired Alanga just about having enough pace and strength to hold off Anderson before chipping it over Tim Krul. Alanga had 3 goals in 3 games, and 2 of them were the match winners. There was only 1 man in the league on a longer streak, and we were playing him in this next match. Mohamed Salah and his team got off to a great start. A red card there for a tackle that maybe deserved a yellow. I think red was a little bit harsh on Montiel. Niakite nearly got a second one before Luis Diaz would find Hakimi, and his header found an open net, so we were already 1-0 down and down to 10 men. I don't think we're going to win this match, but we still had a chance to keep this streak alive. Look at Taiwo Awoniyi's determination and physicality there, bursting through the Liverpool defence. He found Elanga, basically an open net twice, and somehow we haven't found the net. Can we get the cross in here? Origi misses Awoniyi, but of course that man there, Elanga, is there to score another goal. 70 minutes in, and we just had to hold on now for another 20. There was of course a constant stream of attacks from Liverpool. Even our clearances were getting charged down, but somehow we did hold on for the single point. A goal in the cup here doesn't actually count towards the record, but we're still going to play Elanga and go full strength. Who knows, Manchester United might pick a weaker team while we've got a full strength one out. And in fact they did, they had Hannibal playing in midfield, but he had this first chance. We were just absolutely dominated aerially right there. Haaland though passing it across, and it's an easy tap in for Anthony. Probably one of the most unlikable players on FIFA and in real life. And he's just scored against us. We had this chance though, Elanga, the other right winger that used to play for Manchester United. Good chance there. And Origi would get a chance as well to equalise it. We only had 2 real early shots in the game, and that was both of them. Origi, of course, not very well liked at Old Trafford. Hudson-Odoi would be sprinting down the wing, and I just can't even describe what happens there. I know Onana is not the highly rated goalkeeper he used to be, but that is still an amazing finish from Callum Hudson-Odoi. Tavares made a mistake there, passing it to Bruno Fernandes, and when Rashford's through one-on-one, there's absolutely nothing Turner can do. Hudson-Odoi, I'm not sure why he's playing at right back for us right there, but he takes out Haaland and for some reason gets a red card. I don't think that was violent conduct, so I don't think it should have actually been a red card, but now we're down to 10 men and losing 3-2 to Manchester United. Well, actually, as the ball comes across, make that 4-2 because it's another brilliant finish from Manchester United. Good turn there from Haaland makes it 5-2, and thankfully, this game is over. We did get a good award here though, with Elanga being nominated for Player of the Month, and there's my first Ballon d'Or winner in any of the FIFA 24 career modes. This game against Aston Villa was a real chance for Elanga to get another goal. He was really close there. If it was a worse keeper than Martinez, he might have scored, but unfortunately, he might have jarred his knee. I'm not sure what actually happened there. We already had one injury in the game, and that was our second one already. So Elanga's run will end on 4 goals in 4 games. Danilo will go in at right wing, but he doesn't really have the same presence as someone like Elanga. He's not as fast, his finishing's definitely not as good, and you can really tell that we could have used Elanga up front, as we did end up losing this match. So despite that great run there from Elanga, we were now out of the cup in the 4th round, and that meant everything was focused on the FA Cup. Forest are 2 times FA Cup winners, so let's make it 3 and try and qualify for Europe. Of course, our first game is at the start of January, so it gives us a good chance to give some new players a debut. I've not actually been that impressed with Nuno Tavares, so Fabiano Parisi joins from Fiorentina, and he played in these first 2 games in the FA Cup. In the 3rd round we beat Norwich, in the 4th round we beat Swansea, and in the 5th round we had an all Premier League tie against Luton Town. It wasn't the most difficult match, and this is the part of the video hopefully you'll notice that I start getting a little bit better at actually playing the game. I still can't defend at all, but our passing moves get a little bit longer, our shooting gets more accurate, and I start having a lot more fun with the game. So we're through into the 6th round, and we're now just 4 wins away from playing in Europe next year. It's another all Premier League clash, and Aston Villa are the first team we've actually faced in this competition that are better than us. We have a very contrasting set of styles here. They like to sort of dribble into the box and try and pass it across for cutbacks. They do a lot of body feints and stuff trying to win penalties, whereas we are full counter-attack in this game. They had the first chance there, good save from Turner. The ball would eventually find its way to Morgan Gibbs-White. He would manage to outpace Diego Carlos, even though I think he is actually slower on this year's game. He'd cut inside, and his finish is a very Morgan Gibbs-White kind of finish. If you're a Forest fan, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Leon Bailey would have their chance, and it's another brilliant save, somehow palmed into the floor, and they'll bounce over the goal. We had the next chance. Taiwo Awoniyi bursting through. He's got Danilo out wide, but he can't find him. We tried to sweat it across, but unfortunately we ended up with egg on our face. They knew exactly how to sweat it across though, and this is where things started getting bad. Their players started going down super easily. They were getting free kicks for things like that. I think Sangari's won the ball, but they ended up with a free kick out of it. They were playing in a very continental style of football. Every time they get the ball, they would do one pass across our goal, and there was nothing we could do about it. Moussa Diaby has this great play styles that really makes him have a huge amount of acceleration. Maybe when I'm slightly better at the game, I would have been able to defend against it, but at this point in the game, I had absolutely no chance of stopping him. So if you are interested in doing a save with a nice play player, make sure you check out Moussa Diaby. That was basically our best chance right there. Tyrell Wanyi just smashing into the goal, and Diaby would get his hat-trick, 3 shots, 3 goals. There's nothing Turner really could do about that. We hit the crossbar right at the end here with Tyrell Wanyi, but it wouldn't have mattered in the end. We still would have ended up losing 4-1. So now we're out of the FA Cup, the League Cup, and we're not doing too well in the Premier League either. While I show some highlights of the last few games, I would just like to say thank you so much for all the support on this series. When I decided to do this back in July, I didn't think it would get anywhere near this kind of support, and all the comments, all the views, all the likes, every subscription from it, I really do appreciate it. So thank you for checking out the Mega Career. I promise I'll do another one probably next year, next summer, when FIFA 25 is coming out. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. That's the end of our season as well. Look where we finished in the table. We probably could have done better. We weren't going to get relegated at any point, and our manager rating was actually pretty low, so we weren't too far off getting fired. But like I said, thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy FC24 if you decide to buy it, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Cheers and goodbye.